Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T, as y'all see the thumbnail. So, Rollie was innocent after all. Would you look at that? Let's turn to.
You're so consumed with how you get. You waste your time.
Welcome back.
You're broken.
I was on my Madonna tip this week. Did y'all ever hear this song of Madonna?
If I could your heart.
Never heard this song?
We'd never be apart.
Not the rights to this song.
Give yourself to me. You are the key.
That's all I'm gonna play. I do not own the rights to that song. That is Madonna, the American icon. She did a lot for this country, believe it or not. Just in being who she is, how she opened the doors, how she broke down barriers and everything. Some people might not like her. Some people might not see, kind of how I see it, and that's okay, because in America, you can have your own opinion. You can believe how you want to believe. We're going to welcome Eric Gomez is in the building with the Bomb Squad. What's up, King? As y'all know, I always start my show. This is so ice cold, too. This is my 10th one. Water check. Very, very, very important that you drink your water. You should drink your water right before you go to sleep to lube the system, because the system is going to be doing a lot of work. Your engine is going to be shut down in dormant phase, but it does a lot of work when it's dormant. The most important work goes down when you sleep. And when you get up, just to start the engine off right, drink you 8-ounce glass of water. If you don't drink water at all during the day or most of the time, those are two most important times. But on Boxing Fans Talk TV, we shoot for 100 ounces a day. And I'm telling you, you're going to see a difference. So join us in our journey. But as y'all saw the thumbnail, so Rollie was innocent after all. He was innocent after all. Let me actually put up on the screen. Presidential Jafar is in the building was popping king. Let me actually put up on the screen what he had to say about it, and then we can, dive a little bit more deep in it. Let me see. So I can't read it in that format, but um after 3.5 months of my name being slandered with false accusation, having to miss out on opportunities, cheated out of my dream, and out of a massive amount of wealth, the investigation into the allegation made against me has been formally closed. Charges charges were not filed because the allegations could not be substantiated because, as I always stated, I am innocent. I am now the symbol of freedom, purity, and love, known as the boxer, formerly known as Rollie. Now, all you hating motherfuckers can go suck my fat black, it said chicken, but we all know what he meant to say. And I ain't mad at him. I ain't mad at him. So, what are y'all thoughts on it? I'm going to put the link in the chat because I would really like to know what are y'all thoughts, because I think I've said before how I feel about it. If y'all want to chime in, there's a link. I'm going to make sure the phones are open. Now, I've been getting some messages on this phone number saying I tried to call. It's not clear to me at what time they called because some of this stuff looked like early in the morning when I'm not here at the computer. This is a Google phone number and it's set up to ring during the show. If I do not hear that the phone ring, because if the phone rings, not only do I hear it, but you guys hear it too, those of you are watching. And if I don't hear it, I won't answer it. But I don't mean to miss anybody calls, so I'm sorry if it came off like that. If I don't hear the phone ring, that's what's up. But you know what? If I don't hear the phone ring and you guys are calling, say something in the chat. Let me know, because then I'll be like, oh, let me go check it out. I have never tried to call nobody, you know, from those phone numbers. I don't share their phone numbers. But if you say I just try to call, I'll say call back. I'm looking at it right now. I can't tell you why sometimes it ring and sometimes it don't. But I can tell you this: if you calling after hours, so to speak, when I'm not on the broadcast, I can't hear it. I can't hear it. I'm not listening for it. This is just for the show purposes, pretty much only. Um, as I told you, I already started off the water check. My phone lines are open 706-804-4449. And that's 706-804-4449. I put the link in the chat. You guys let me know how y'all feel about this Rollie situation. And also to let y'all know, I went kind of like on a rant yesterday. I'm not sorry for it. But if you guys wanted to chime in at any time during the show to speak your piece, I'll sit back and listen and say what you got to say. You can rebut what I said, and it's okay. All of us can have our difference of opinions, but you have the whole show to chime in and talk about what we talked about yesterday, because my mind is made up. I've been more than fair, and that's just how I see things. So I ask you again, what are your thoughts on the Rollies situation? Mine's are um, that this is the lowest of lows that somebody can do to somebody. I mean, I don't know how much lower can you go other than to say, to accuse people of these type of crimes. This is not nothing to play with or laugh at or anything. I despise shit like this. I don't condone nothing like this. I'm not in agreement with nothing like this, because the if you're wrong or if you're lying, the damage done to that person is so fucked up, and it's pretty much can be for life. If y'all don't agree, let me know. I would think that most of you guys agree. Listen, to all ladies out there, don't ever play with these games. I don't care what somebody pay you or how they, I don't care how mad you get at another person. This the line that you don't cross. You know what I'm saying? You just don't. When you don't play, if you don't play with your life, don't play with nobody's life like this. This is a line that cannot be tolerated. Not from women, not from men. It's despicable, is what it is. Deacon 305 is in the building. What's popping, King? He said, salute, Miss T. Salute to you too. And I abhorred this type of behavior. It's like I hate this. I was going to say something like what it deserves, but it ain't gonna be pretty. The consequences for it wouldn't be pretty. Not coming from me. I have a daughter. I don't want her to be abused in any kind of way. But I also taught my daughter how to speak up when something is going on with her or somebody does something to her. But I also taught her, don't ever lie about shit like that. Make sure you clear about what you're saying, because you got another person's life in your hands. And one thing about me, I don't know if it's the Libra in me, but I don't do unfair play. I cannot stand it. You really want to fuck a Libra up, you stop being unfair. You don't even have to be unfair to us. You can be unfair to other folks. You know what I'm saying? I do not play with the unfair stuff. And to me, this is unfair because you basically took somebody else's life, turned it upside down, destroyed it, and then you going off sleeping like a baby. You don't get to go off into the sunset. I'm sorry. You won't get no ride off into the sunset. You do that to me or somebody that I know and love. We gotta get you back. We got to get you back. We don't turn the other cheek on this one. Sorry. Um, like I said, women should never engage in this type of behavior. If somebody approach you and tell you to do it, check their ass on spot. I don't care who it is. I don't even care if it's your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. I don't care who it is. Don't ever play with people's lives like this. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Rollie. I don't dislike him. I don't try to cape for him, cap for him. He does a lot of young boys stuff that I just don't agree with and don't like. And sometimes I'll be like, he put his foot in his mouth a lot, and I'd be like, he should get his ass twisted. But this, no, no. I'm with Rollie and how he feel. I give it to him. Shout outs to him for not going off the deep end, considering he was in this debacle or whatever. And the main reason why, and I'm speaking to ladies, why you don't engage in this is because what does it mean for real victims? As women on this earth, we are prey and males are predators. That's just how it is. Whether we like it or not, it is how it is. We are, as human beings, have the intelligence and the fortitude to not engage in such prey or predatorial engagements. But women, we are for the most part preyed upon in this world. Things can happen to any woman, anywhere. So when you play these games, what you foster is a non-belief in the victim. It make victims a lot of times don't come forward and say nothing anyway, because why? They think they're not going to be believed and they're going to be victimized all over again. You do victimize people when you be like, are you sure that it happened? You lying. Tell me step by step. You already don't believe them, and that victim can feel it. He doesn't already believe me, or she doesn't believe me, and they're gonna make me tell the story step by step, only to blast me in the end. And I really don't feel like going through this. So a lot of times victims stay silent. Silent. Andrew Charles is in the building, was popping, King. So this is why you don't play with that. Because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of men first mind when they hear stuff like this, they're gonna be like, she lying. She lying. I don't believe her. Don't take her seriously. So what? And any man who's ever been through this, accused of something, they know they didn't do it, they'll never be the same again, because their life ain't gonna go back to what it was beforehand. I tell people all the time. I when I was in the military, I had men under my charge, and the young guys straight from their mama's skirt. I used to be like, you better be careful of what you say and do in the predicaments that you put yourself in, because sometimes that stuff could go left or right, and you will lose control, and it's gonna be the narrative of what somebody want to say. So, for instance, guys, I had a young guy called like my little brother, and loved him to death. He's a family friend now. He can come and go as he please in my home or whatever. But he was real comfortable. He was like a little brother to me, and he was real comfortable. And my kids were upstairs playing, and he, normally I let him have freedom in my house. Maybe he had to go upstairs and get a towel. He just know where everything is in my house. But my little kids was upstairs playing, and I said, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm just going upstairs to get whatever." And normally, when it's just me and him in the house, that would probably be cool. But no, I said, no, no, something you got to learn. When there's little kids, especially little girls upstairs playing, you as a grown single man with no kids, don't take your ass up there. Don't take your ass up there. And I'm talking about my own kids. I'm like, don't take your ass up there, because that way it's just precaution. We should all live with precautions, like women lock their doors. That's just a precaution. You know, you're a single man with no kids. Don't be hanging and lingering around little kids, especially little girls. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself, at all. And it's not to say a man can't be capable of being nurturing around a kid or anything. Just don't do it. It ain't worth it. You want to be around kids and nurture and make sure you got somebody around you, like their other parent, father or mother, at all times. Just don't do it. You have to be careful, because you just never know. Rollie, you out there talking nonsense to these women, because it's cute to you. You're a young boy. This is what young boys do. Okay. This is why your story took flight, because they can roll back any recording of you talking like you that type of dude. PGH big dog is in a building. He says, "Salute, Queen. Salute to you too." So I mean, just a precaution, y'all, man. Tell your young men, tell your young boys, it's unfair. This is one of them areas where it's not fair. There's a lot of things about men and women in this world, and especially the world we live in, that's gonna be fair or not. This is one of them areas where it's not really fair to men, but it is because there were men who overstepped their bounds and made it difficult for other guys. The spotlight is on y'all in certain situations. Same thing for us. We can think of situations where it's unfair for us and the spotlight is on us, and we fall under consequences and stuff that's not fair across the board. It is what it is. But having Rollie gone through this situation, which I think Rollie need to lead TMT. I said the same thing, PGH. They don't have his back at all. Once you would cross me like that, and it'd be no hard feelings. It'll be like, for my life sake, I have to leave you guys. I can't be in the same company. For my sanity's sake, I don't care what you can give me. I could be hungry as hell. I'll go rob a food store and take the risk of going to jail before I take anything from you. Because you was playing with my life for real, for real. Um, you will never want that to happen or happen to you or be done to somebody you love. Most of us got kids. You don't want that to happen to your son. A lot of us, especially back in the day, have family members that went to jail on some fugazi ass charges and spent the bulk of their life never having an opportunity to be out and have a family and just grow and mature and realize their dreams, all because of some lies. I think about the Park Five, Central Park Five. Look at those guys. You can't get time back. You can apologize to people till you blue in the face. One thing you can't get back is time. And that's the thing that people don't ever get over. They can get over a lot of shit, but they don't get over time that they miss. And in the boxing world, it is rolled up with time, opportunity, potential, all kinds of he missed out. He missed out on a lot. He cannot change that narrative, you know, and the money of it all. Rollie definitely missed out on a good payday. Now, do we care what he has to do with his money on his in his spare time? No, we can say we don't care, but we should not care. We should not throw monkey wrenches in his way and prevent him from doing what he said he wanted to do. He said he wanted to buy his mom a house. Who don't love their mama? Some people have problems with their parents, but who really don't love their mama? Most men, when they have a come up, the first thing they do is reach back and take care of mama. That's important to a lot of guys. It never fails. It's something that happens all the time on all levels of financial status. Men will reach back and be like, "Mama, I got you. Mama, let me get." And one of the biggest things men do when they have a come up, you talking about these basketball players, football players, boxers, whoever making money, they always go and buy their mama a house because maybe they didn't grow up in the house, and maybe their mama never realized her dream because she sacrificed everything for them so that they can have. And so now he's like, "Mama, let me pay you back." Well, thanks to those involved who put this bull crap on him, he didn't get the opportunity to do that. We all know that Tank was slated to fight Gervonta Davis December 5th. I actually wanted to see the fight. Is anybody in here who did not want to see that fight? I did. And I would have bought it either way. As of yesterday, I'm done with PBC. I'm not buying no more of their fights. I'll go over somebody's house. I'll go to a sports bar, whatever. I ain't buying no more PBC fights. None. The only fight I'm going to buy is if Crawford and Spence get together. And y'all know my conclusion from yesterday was that Spence is ducking. And that's all off of Tim Smith's what he had to say. What he said in his little snippet of conversation said a lot to me. And that's my final conclusion. So if you ain't Deontay Wilder or Bud Crawford, I'm not buying your fight. Now, there will be other fighters that I add to that mix. But as of right now, today, them the only two right now that I will buy. Anybody got anything to want to add or take away or rebut? Please, you're welcome to come in. Again, if you ring the phone and I don't hear it, because we should all hear when you call. If I don't hear it, just say something in the chat like, "Miss T, I called in, but you didn't answer." And then I'll go to the actual page and look and wait for it. 706-804-4449. 706-804-4449. I put the link in the chat. Y'all can jump in on this conversation if you want. You can talk about what we was talking about yesterday. Please smash the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. So the money of it all. Rollie missed a nice payday. Might not have been the biggest payday to some, but it was big for him. He lost an opportunity. Gervonta Davis is a star. Remember, Leonard Ellerby always tell us that Tank Davis is a star. Leonard always tell us that Tank Davis is a star. So anybody who fights him has a come up. Can we prove that theory? Look at Pitbull Isaac Cruz. A lot of people didn't know about him. He was the replacement for Rollie. He gave a good fight to have come in on 2 weeks' notice. But then you hear the rumor mills that he was the intended target in the beginning, but then they try to throw Rollie in there to get some press off it, and then knowing that they was gonna always come back to Pitbull, and then think about it. This is some shady shit, ain't it? And then think about it on the other side. Pitbull, you're the intended target in the beginning. 8 weeks out, I'm gonna train. Okay, then you come back and say, "Oh no, we can't. We're not using you." So now I'm not training for you. And then the last 2 weeks, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be the one." Why the fuck you do that? If you wanted to put him on in the first place and not Rollie in the first place, But the money of it all, the opportunity of it all, and no matter what, some people won't get the memo. that he was innocent. There are going to be somebody out there that's not going to get that memo that he was innocent after all. And guess what? They're going to treat him accordingly. Once you come off looking like an abuser like that, people look at you sideways. They look at you sideways, even if you innocent. Even if and I'm going to tell you, me, I'm no different. Once that cloud is over your head, it's like an albatross over your head that won't ever leave. I can know you like the back of my hand and know that that story sound kind of fishy. But now, if you think that we're gonna chop it up and you're gonna have free access to my house, all of that gets shut down. Cause I have to be careful. You don't know unless you're there. And a lot of people feel that way. I'm one of the people that feel like that. I don't know unless I was there. So even though I might not think you totally like that, I have to trust but verify. Like I have to be careful because what could never happen is abuse. And I can't be at the helm of being, the person that might have not had my P's and Q's, was on my P's and Q's and some kind of way abuse happened under my nose. I can't do it. I can't let that fall on my shoulders because then I'm gonna be fucked up for life. You know what I'm saying? Even if the abuse never happened to me. So no matter what, there's gonna be people out there who did not get that memo. His name is forever tarnished. It's forever tarnished. And like I said, people ain't getting the memo. There's gonna be people who's gonna be like, or they're gonna have their guard up. They'll never relax around him. If you ever been around somebody that's always tense around you, it's not a good feeling. You don't even want to hang with those people. I know some of us have had, by now, all of us have probably felt that. Like you around somebody that got that guard up real hard when they around you. And you be like, get the fuck from around me then. It's not a cool feeling. But he's gonna go through that for the rest of his life. People will consider him a risk forever and use or hold that whole narrative against them. This is why, again, I reiterate the importance to all the young ladies, because I know my friends watch me on Facebook. Teach your daughters, men teach your daughters. Don't play around with this. This is never an option to play with somebody's life. To play around with somebody abuse you. If somebody abuse you sexually or whatever. So don't embellish. Say what shit really is. Don't even play around because if you're wrong and if you're lying, you have pretty much put the albatross around that dude's head for the rest of his life. He'll never escape it. And that is not fair, especially if that is not who that person is. Rollie could be the most fucked up person. He do a lot of dumb shit. Like I say, he's still a little boy. Do he deserve to be treated as if he's a monster? Because that's how he gonna get that treatment. So I asked the question, what should be done going forward? Anybody got any idea? I know how I would treat it. I'm gonna give y'all a second to type in what do you think should be done going forward. As I said, I put the link in the chat. Smash the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. You could call in 706-804-4449. What we talking about, if y'all ain't clear, some women came out with allegations of Rollie Romero being abusive in a sexual sense. They didn't never go into details at all, to be honest. But we knew it was under the umbrella of sexual abuse, and there were allegations, and they never came to fruition. We in the boxing world waited. He never was charged. He had to probably get lawyers and do extras and spend money that he didn't think he would have to spend towards that just to clear his name. And in the end of the day, here we are, some 2 months or so late. Well, let me see. It happened in November. So here we are in January, mid-January, and it's come to find out he was innocent all along. When they said that they didn't have any evidence, that means they didn't have standard. What is the word? Shit, it's not standard. I don't know why the word escaped me. When you go to court, um, the Supreme Court use it a lot. This word, I don't know why. I'm always saying it, but they didn't have. In my head is standard, but they didn't have what it take to even go to court. They didn't have it, substance or whatever. They didn't have anything. Everything was unfounded, so it wasn't even worth going through the court system. Courts don't like to waste their time, so standing is what it is. I don't know why. Credibility is a good word, Andrew. Credibility is an awesome word. Well, I'm gonna say it's called standing. That's why I said standards. Standing. If you don't have standing, meaning you don't have shit enough for us to even have a court date, courts would dismiss, um, and they could take offense for you even wasting their time trying to bring up shit that don't have standing. Um, uh, for example, like all that crap about the election when Donald Trump kept trying to act like the election was stolen from him and all that, and all day long on Fox, you just hearing they just describing the Democrats as criminality and all this stuff. We got to take the court. We got to take the court. And damn near every court case that they try to bring up with that election, every judge pretty much said they didn't have standing, meaning you don't have evidence to support what you're talking about. Andrew Charles says standing does sound more like a legal term. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they say. And that's what pretty much when he said the evidence was unfounded, that's pretty much she didn't have standing. Who is the she? I don't know. Now it's Rollie's turn. Because I asked you guys what you think should be done. I think he should have no mercy. He gonna be judged for this for the rest of his life. He should put everything out on Front Street. I will blast whoever these girls' names are. I'm like, fellas, or I will make something where they could be known. You gotta be careful of these women right here. Because for the right amount of money, they'll say anything. And make them men repellent. That's what I would do. They need to be. You don't play around like that. You just don't play around like that. This is when I rep the dudes much harder. Because I'm a woman. I see things through a woman's eyes all the time. And I know men be like, women be bashing men and men bashing women. I'm always going to be a woman first. But in this situation, I don't play. I wouldn't play it the other way because you could do stuff like that when it comes to pedophilia too. And that can go both ways. So I just don't play. Don't play with these type of charges. People cannot recoup from this shit. You only get one life, and that's why we cannot even make this casual. So to me, I think Rollie should stick it to everybody involved. And if that's Floyd Mayweather, you got to pay for that, sir. You got to pay for that dearly. Rollie by the end of this year should be a rich motherfucker, whether he ever fight or not, because that's what is owed to him. You're playing with his name, because he missed that opportunity. Ain't nobody gonna be trying to recoup and make sure he gets his opportunity. He is like almost like he got to climb back up the ladder. Maybe he got halfway or a third through climbing up the ladder to greatness. Now he got to start all over. Nobody promising him to recoup that loss. Andrew Charles said, I question if these young women hatched this plan on their own or if there were outside forces involved. They ain't hatch it on their own. They didn't have standing, so they didn't have evidence. So that means somebody paid them to do that to him. Who? I'm not, see, I can't even though y'all know who we think it is. You know who we think it is. We be thinking it's Floyd. But I can't put that jacket on Floyd, nor am I saying it was Floyd. Because again, we can't play with this. But I'm telling Rollie, follow the money, goddammit. That's what you do. You probably got enough coins to hire a private investigator and follow the money. And easily you could take them women to court and sue the hell out them, and something called discovery. They're gonna have to divulge everything they pretty much their whole life. Get your lawyer to just to get on that point. Discovery can make all of that be flushed out. And whoever's at the helm of it or close to it need to pay this man dearly. Monetarily. That's, to me, make him a millionaire 10 times over. Even though I'm sure he wasn't going to get that kind of check if he fought, but you played with his life, and we can't have that. We cannot have that, y'all. It's up there to me. It's close to like attempted murder or something. Like, I mean, it's you can't, because how the outcome is not always promised. Rollie will bounce back from this, I think, his situation, but it's not always promised to be like that for people. Whoever, and I'm saying whomever, because I have no proof of who it was. I know what we all think. I know that I'm gonna just state the facts. He was slated to fight December 5th with Tank Davis. They did one press conference. Next thing you know, out the blue, weeks before the fight, he's pulled off because he has these sexual allegations put on him. Okay. Nobody hears about it because, number one, nobody went to a court or got a warrant out for his arrest. Nothing. This was all predicated on certain people knowing. Like, who you think should know? Like, you would think the cops would have came and knocked at his door. That didn't happen. You would think they'd have pulled him over and arrested him. That didn't happen. But Mayweather promotion team obviously had more information or knew about these allegations, and they acted on it. Not just Mayweather promotion. How they know, I don't know. Were they told and then they took action? But all of those people who Tank was gonna fight with a network or whatever, they knew too. So these are the people who knew. So it seemed like instead of going to the police, these women went to maybe a Steven Espinoza. I hate to say his name, but if he runs Showtime, because I didn't know where this fight was gonna be on. Showtime pay-per-view. I think that's what it was on. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. So they went to Showtime, folks. They knew. Mayweather promotion people knew. And that's the only people who knew. But this is a criminal situation. This will be a criminal case. So that ain't even the right people that should have known. It should have been that it went to a police station or a warrant was out for his arrest, and the police contacted Showtime and contacted Mayweather promotion. None of that ever happened. It was Mayweather promotion and Showtime taking action for some allegation. Okay. At the same time, you had Tank Davis, who had real allegations and a real court date pending, which he will be going to in a couple of months from here. And kind of the same thing, abuse. Because again, they didn't go into detail as to what type of abuse. They just put it under the umbrella of sexual. So Tank had that over his head. And he had, like, he's charged with hit and run or something. So he has to have his due process as well. Rollie never got due process. So as an American, he was cheated. He was cheated. Just being an American citizen, he didn't get due process. So they took action. They cheated him out of opportunity, a good paid period. We don't know how his career would have boosted and went from there. He was convinced that he could be Tank. We cannot say the Tank he's solid, like he's indestructible. We just saw the performance he gave with Cruz. If Cruz, one could make an argument if Cruz would have had a 2-month camp, that fight could have looked worse for Tank. That was a camp that Cruz had for a couple of weeks to get ready for Tank. Imagine if he had 8. So if we know that Tank is not indestructible, then that means, and Rollie feels like let Rollie tell him, he definitely know he can beat Tank. I'm not saying he could, but this is how Rollie feel. Then what could have happened? The man lost a lot, and is he's a weasel, yes, but he didn't deserve this. Noah GX is in the building. What's popping, King? Salute, Queen. You are speaking facts from way over there in Japan. What's popping? How's the weather over there? Hey, Noah, I'm gonna want you to do me a favor. How close are you to Kyoto? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Kyoto, like Kyoto. Let me know, player. I got a task for you. You might do it, you might not, but I need to know. I'm gonna tell you at the end of the show. You're gonna be like, what? um, he lost money, opportunity, and he got this albatross around his head for life. People gonna look at him sideways, even me, because even if I met him and I know he's innocent now, but I wouldn't bring him around my little girls. That's just how it is. Oh damn, 9 hours. Damn. Is that in the northern part? Kyoto. Okay, Kyoto. Yeah, I keep messing up with that I. I mean that Y. Kyoto. Um, is that in northern part of Japan? I'm assuming you down there by Yokosuka and maybe Okinawa and all that stuff, but I'm assuming. But is that in the northern part of Japan? Kyoto? Um, so I ask you fellas, what should be done going forward? Me, I'm a get you back type person. The accountability gotta be some jail time for somebody. Gots to be. Do y'all agree? Gotta be. Um, he need to be suing somebody by the end of the year. Showtime, Mayweather Promotion, whoever did the dirty deed, they gotta pay him. He need to be a millionaire 10 times over by the end of this year. And one of you guys said it. Rollie need to leave TMT. That was PGH Big Dog. I am in total agreement with that. He should divorce Mayweather at this point. Mayweather Promotion, that is. Why? Even if Mayweather is innocent, and again, I'm not putting the jacket on saying on Mayweather saying that he bought and paid for them girls, because I don't know. This is so serious. I just can't casually do that. If it ever come out though that that's what was the case, then Rollie should not hesitate. He should blast everybody. They gotta pay him in nickels. Fuck that. Noah said, not that far. It's almost like settled North Wheat. North Wheat? Not that far. It's almost like settled North. I guess you mean Northwest. Okay, real a little break, y'all. Bear with me because I'm gonna get back to it. I got some other news. Um, Noah, I want you to visit this zoo in Kyoto, and it's the Momotaro family, the gorilla family. And what I need is a good contact number or a good email where somebody answers my email. You know what I'm saying? During the pandemic, I know everybody did something to get them through the day. I like to watch, I love animals. So I was watching Kyoto's little 15-minute clips, 30-minute clips of a gorilla family and just loving how the similarities between people and them are, and just the role of the father in the family, how the mother act and how the kids act. And in that time frame during the pandemic to now, she had a baby. And I've been following this little goober. Like, I swear to God, you would think that's my baby. Let me tell you, a baby gorilla is strong as a grown man. You know what I'm saying? But I love this gorilla family. I just need contact numbers. I, um, I have Kyoto Connects. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I just need contact numbers because I be having questions, and I watch them on YouTube. This not just Kyoto. You can have there's American zoos that show little family clips. It's almost like watching reality TV. I promise you, if you love animals, like I love animals, you can get caught up on it. It could be a family of giraffes or elephants or whatever. For me, it was the gorillas. And oh my God, that little goober. And I be saying to I be sitting here like, oh, he was such a baby. And now I'm seeing him grow up. I mean, I love this family, but I really do need to connect, son, Noah, please. And you see my email, boxingfanstalk@gmail.com. Boxingfanstalk@gmail.com. No cap, no being funny. If you got those connects and you can give me at least contact number, but preferably an email where somebody will return my email, please, please, please hook me up with that. He said, gotcha. Contact is Timid MC. Hold on. Let me write that down. Y'all probably be like, this girl is crazy. I'm telling you. Timid MC. He is on the Instagram and Facebook. Okay. Okay, cool. IG and Facebook. Okay. Yeah, let him know about me because I will try to look him up and contact him. I need them to get their shit together because that one gorilla that's in there, the oldest brother, I be ready to reach through the damn camera and beat the shit out of this dude. Even though I know it can't be done. I can't stand him at times. But anyway, let me get off that because I get emotional and like y'all would be surprised how something like that, looking at something like that over and over again, how you get attached or emotional. I swear it's almost like that was my son. Like that little baby, I feel like sometimes that was my son. And my family could tell you, they'd be like, I don't want to hear nothing about that goddamn Kentaro, because that's his name. But shout out to Kentaro, the little goober. But wait a minute, somebody said, Andrew said, um, I question if these young women oh, you had said that. I read that before. Oh, right here. I think anybody who is proven to falsely accuse somebody should face time. I agree, Andrew. I agree. You need to feel the wrath of what you done. You need to feel that wrath. And first, starting with PGA said, divorce yourself from that crew. Mayweather and them can't get mad, especially if they did that to you. The trick is, you guys, he's under contract, right? So when is his contract up? He's still a young man. You got a chance, Rollie. But you need to get from around people that do shit like that to you. That's some people that you can't never break bread with because you just can't do it. And not like I said, it got to be some get back. I'm suing, and somebody got to go to jail. So when they do reference it and charge me up in the future going forward, I'm like, and you do know that this is what happened to the people who did XYZ, because you know that was some fugaziness going on in that situation. So blah 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 blah. But he can't be engaged with that crew no more. So that's all I wanted to say about Rollie. I wish him good luck. I pray that this doesn't happen to him or anybody else, whether you poor, rich, celebrity or not. This is not something that should happen to anybody, man or woman. And y'all just be careful out there when y'all put yourself in predicaments. If you come off like you a chrome magnum macho dude, like you about to take it, y'all better be careful. Cause that shit comes back on you. So don't put stuff like that on your Facebooks and your social medias. Don't be walking around this world acting like you get down with shit like that. Boxing matchups. Dwayne Freeman is in the building. What's popping, King? He says, salute, Queen, Miss T. Salute to you too. Y'all, I'm just telling you, as a woman, don't put yourself in that predicament. Don't linger around talking to little kids without their parents around. I mean, it's fucked up, I know. But just be aware of your surroundings and what shit can look like. And because like even with me, this is something that be unfairly done to men, especially when you're talking about being around children. Me, I'm a grown woman. I used to have people in my house all the time, all my daughter's friends. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's so many. People used to be like, why you let all them kids come around? My daughter traveled a lot and I left her a lot. So it was some social type skills that I thought she needed fine tuning and she needed to be around other kids so I can, you can't teach somebody when they by themselves. So I had to teach her certain things. So like her brother was always with us in the summer, this, that, and the other. Just, always house full of kids. But as soon as they came in, I was upstairs in my room. I have a big enough room where I got everything going on. I don't really need to leave my room, but I was up here, and any of them kids can say that. They can't say otherwise. So I, even as a woman, protected myself. So I'm not telling you guys not to do some shit that I wouldn't even do my damn self. But y'all think about that shit. When y'all be on social media talking outside of your neck and talking aggressive and all chrome magnum out. Think about how that shit look and what that shit could be used as. Because trust me, people is famous for digging in the archives to make you look like a certain way. So shout outs to Rollie. Hopefully he cleaned his house and he recoups from that. I'm praying for him on that one. But he gonna be a wise guy. He's gonna be a weasel. He's gonna be Rollie. I read y'all his statement. Y'all look how he ended it. Y'all can suck my big black bird. You know, as I said earlier, some of you just joining me, hit the like button and subscribe. Do that for me right now. Just take a second, hit that so I can get counted for that. I also said y'all heard my monologue yesterday. If y'all feel free today, come in. I will sit back and listen. You could call in, you can chime in, you can say it in the chat if you agreed or disagreed with anything that I had to say, because everybody got their own opinion. I said some things I normally don't even talk like. I call Earl Spence a duck. I know a lot of people ain't gonna like that shit, but that's just how I feel. So if you want to chime in and say your piece, I'll sit back and listen. Like I said, I don't. It ain't the end of the world, and I don't debate like in an angry type way. That's not my thing. But I'll say my piece and I'll keep it pushing. But anyway, anywho, so I got a question. Is Canelo going to fight Charlo? That's my big question. I don't think so, but what y'all think? Is your boy Canelo gonna chop it up with your boy Charlo? Charlo's and as far as boxing fans talk TV, they've been on punishment for cooning and shit. But I don't wish nothing bad on them or anything like that. They are a force to be reckoned with, and I recognize their talent. But is your boy Canelo gonna give the sweepstakes to Charlo? Did Charlo wait too long? Did Charlo bow down at the altar too much? Because there was times when Charlo looked like he was kissing ass a little bit too much when it came to Canelo. Just a little bit too much. Just a skosh. Just a little bit. So I can tell y'all my answer. Y'all tell me y'all answer. Again, call in, chime in, beam in, or say it in the chat. To all my Facebookers, shout out to you guys. Come on over into the YouTube channel and join us in the chat. Hit the like and subscribe when you come in the house, though. Be kind. So my answer is no. First and foremost, he don't respect Charlo. That's what I got to say about Canelo. He doesn't respect Charlo ass at all. Not Jermell, not Jamal. He don't respect them. He placed no value in them. We should never be shocked about that. That's Canelo and most black fighters. He don't. He don't even spend his time because y'all are not in his circle. He don't hang with y'all. He don't break bread with y'all. He don't give a damn what y'all doing. And when I say y'all, I'm talking about all black fighters for the most part. So he has no respect for you. You know, I'm not calling him a racist when I say that because you could be a person that's not a racist, but you just don't have time for the other groups of people. He don't give a damn. Noah said, I love your backdrop logo looking real, queen. Thanks. Y'all like the shirt? Let me see. Hold on. I got merchandise. I don't know if I'm trying to sell it or nothing, but let me hide this. So look, I got gold, silver. I'm gonna get a patch so I can put up on here. You know, That's how I'm doing it. I was like, let me get something I can put on every day when I do this show. Instead of trying to dress up for y'all fools. I mean, I don't mind, but goddamn, every day. Anyway, but first and foremost, Charlo don't respect or value any most black fighters. I just see it that way. Ain't got really nothing to do with racism. You're not Mexican, so you have no value. He said, "Yay, yay! Thank you, King." And what makes him valid in what he's saying? Not that I believe in what he's saying or feeling that way, but what makes him valid is the Charlo's behavior and antics over these months, years, or whatever. Canelo can have some kind of legitimacy um, that he needs so he could carry them. And he carrying them the wrong way. Like y'all know what it means when people say they carrying him, and that's what they're doing. They carrying him. They treating them like buffoons, and they have some legitimacy because look how they act. So Canelo is not going to get no backlash from his fans, casual fans, or anything for ignoring the hell out of Andre or Charlos and all that. Because y'all know if one group of black guys act like that, then that means all black guys act like that. Y'all know I don't believe that. That's not me saying. That's not Miss T. But y'all know how I go out here in these streets. Y'all know if one black guy doing something, all of us doing something. What y'all think about that? That's what I see. But if you give Canelo that kind of food where he can, or them lemons where he could turn that shit into lemonade for his favor, that's what the hell you did. That's what they did. Three. Eddie Renuso said they are not in negotiation or in talks with Jamal Charlo. Excuse me for getting the twins' names wrong. I'm talking about Jamal Charlo. At this point, and they're not negotiating with anybody. So let me tell you how powerful the fans can be. Even his fans was not cool with this Macaboo situation. They won't feeling that shit at all. So Canelo and them kind of low key backed up off this Macaboo. They ain't telling all of y'all because they don't know in the end of the day what they're gonna do. They always, one thing about Canelo team, they always like to leave options on the table. So they not like coming out broadcasting like, hey, we're not fighting Macaboo. But at the same time, they low key trying to back up off it, but not cause a stir. Cause they don't want y'all to, they don't want to announce that and then they can't even use that as an option. But the fans have spoken and they got the message loud and clear. Don't nobody want to see that goddamn fight. Don't nobody want to see that fight at all. And I don't think his fans will be happy with it because even they see the fugaziness in it. So, so that's why they could have these talks. Like right now, we're not negotiating with anybody. That's what Team Canelo is saying. Well, if you were slated to fight Macaboo in May, why would you be negotiating with anybody? One fight at a time, right? But that's how you could tell that even their fans, even his fans was like, wait a minute, whoa, Kimosami. Wait a minute now. We ain't with all this. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't, everything can't be just about money. Sometimes you got to put some substance into it and some legitimacy. You know what I'm saying? Now, the interesting thing, though, is the WBC has given Canelo the authority to freeze his 168 title so that he could go up to the cruiserweight and fight Macaboo on May 7th. Did y'all just hear that? I've never heard that before. The WBC has given Canelo Alvarez the authority to freeze his title, meaning nobody can come ask for no mandatories from the WBC. Canelo doesn't have to bust a grape. He is in chill mode till May 7th or whenever he feel like it. Canelo team knows, now this is the nugget I'm going to drop. They know that they're not fighting Macaboo. And if they do, I will stand correct. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to fight him because his fans did not like that idea. So if they're not going to fight Macaboo and the WBC gave you the authority to freeze your title because you was going up to fight Macaboo, But if you're not gonna fight Makabu, then unfreeze that motherfucker. But you think that's gonna happen? You see how the foolery, the tomfoolery that be going on when it comes Canelo and the WBC? You might as well say uh Mauricio Suleiman, aka Mr. Cantone, is Canelo's daddy. Cause he sure act like he his daddy. He make up rules and make up things for Canelo. Tell me, you guys, I'm asking you, maybe I'm wrong. Have y'all ever heard of a sanctioning body freezing a belt so that somebody can go up and fight? You don't even have to do that. It's not like it's a set, is a concrete time limit on when you got to fight. And then we have not, and because of that, shit can be, misscrewed any kind of way. For instance, Ugas had just fought Pacquiao. It was just decided in July before his fight August with Pacquiao, that he is the legitimate champion. That title was on the line when he fought Pacquiao. He won the fight. So now he's legitimate, champion. Not long, and I mean like a month or so after the fight, I want to say about a month, he was dictated to by the WBA, saying that he had to go into the box office that the WBA has created to get rid of a lot of belts. Problem is, this wasn't an interim belt. This wasn't no number one contender belt. This was a legitimate, regular WBA championship belt. So why did Ugas have to be a part of that? None of us knew. Ugas didn't like it. He complained about it and everything, right? The WBA wasn't budging. At the time, I had said, I've never seen them move that fast. God damn, get a dude a break. He just won the belt. So when I'm saying it don't have to be concrete amount of time, there's no time limit that I've ever heard where they was like, once you get the belt, you got 10 weeks to make a decision to do something else. Or you got, because boxing doesn't move like that. You got injuries, you got business, you got availability of venues, all that stuff to contend with. It's a lot of moving parts. So you can't put that kind of jacket on no one fighter. But I did find it odd that they right away made him face mandatories or put him in a box out. By the same token, looking at Canelo now with the WBC, and all of the sanction bodies don't have no concrete time limit as to when you got to get popping again. But looking at Canelo, why do you need to freeze your title? Because if you're gonna fight Makabu, you can't fight nobody else. They can allow you to do. They already have rules in place that allows you to face somebody and then come back to your mandatories or come back and do whatever. So what was the point in the freeze? Y'all pay attention to that. Because if that shit is still frozen by the end of this year or the fall, got to throw the BS flag up. You got to throw it up. Smash the like button and subscribe if y'all haven't already. ATL Unanimous Boxing Sports, welcome into the building with Poppy King. Salute, Queen. Keep doing your thing. Nothing but love, sweetie. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so for him to even get this freeze, this freeze, why is it necessary? You don't need to freeze him. He gonna fight Makabu. Anybody who's petitioning for the WBC to activate the mandatory is not gonna affect him fighting Makabu. After the fight, fucking going to negotiations to fight whoever your mandatory is. Make a way out of nowhere. You don't need to freeze it. But the fact that, and I've never heard it. Y'all let me know. I'm asking that question because, I haven't been watching boxing since I was a kid. I haven't been watching boxing all my life. I've watched it, but I've been more of a fanatic in these last 10 or 15 years. But before that, I don't know. Maybe that was always a thing. I've never heard of it. And to see that making up rules for special people and all that stuff, whether it's for that person or against that person, I don't want it either way. and WBC do too much capping for Canelo. So that's the nugget I caught, and I will say we need to watch out throughout the year to see where that goes. After May 7th, if he's still in a frozen state, then hey, we got to throw the BS flag. If he doesn't fight Makabu, which I'm almost positive he's not going to fight him because his fans did not like the move, so they shopping, pretty much cherry picking. Don't be surprised if he come back out and try to fight somebody that his fans can accept. He doesn't care what the black people think or the others. He only care what Mexican fans think. He doesn't fight for y'all. He's not a people's champ. He's only for the Mexicans. I'm not saying he's racist for how he's doing it, but he's short sighted. You cannot. This is like a lot of people come up with plans, and this is where they go wrong because they concentrate on certain things and they overlook the big picture. The Wang was popping. Was good.
What's going on with you? It's T.
Nothing much. I'm in here just catching these nuggets as I read them, trying to throw it out there, educate me and as well as the boxing fans.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I touched on it a little bit earlier on my live or whatever. 'Cause I saw the tweet when it came out. Well, early this morning. It came out like one a.m. Because I was at work when the tweet came out, and so I touched on it a little bit. But far as the whole
we can't hear you.
I go out and come back in.
Yeah. Okay. He gonna come back in. Um. Yeah. Just y'all pay attention to little stuff like that. Like um. There you go. We
Yeah,
hear.
yeah, nah, yeah,
That's all I was saying. You ain't got. It's almost like a bad connection come in and out. But go ahead. Not now. Not now. You good now, but that's what it was before. We heard some things, but then it faded out. But go ahead.
yeah. I had a phone call. That's what happened. I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, I was the whole situation. I kind of figured something was up because when the allegations came out, he was never arrested.
Right.
And it was multiple women that said it. At first, it was just one woman, and then it was multiple women, and he was never arrested for it. So I'm like, okay, if they have these allegations towards him, he should have at least been arrested and took down to central booking and been processed. But he was never arrested, and then he came out and said they finished their investigations and there was no charges brought and the case is closed. So I was like, okay, now did these women make it up or was it really something and it just wasn't as bad as the women made it seem to be? So that's what I got from the whole situation. Um, I don't want to say a woman made it up because I wasn't there, so I can't say that she made it up. But um, I would say it might have been something that she wasn't agreeing to that he possibly did, and the police just might have said, okay, it wasn't enough evidence to charge him with the charges that they was trying to pin on him.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm in the police. I'm on a police force, so I kind of know exactly what they look for.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it could have been he was out with the woman or whatever, and they might have been drinking or whatever, and it might have went a little bit further than the woman wanted to go, but it might have been consensual, but she turned around and had a change of heart, and so it didn't go no further than that or whatever, and then she might have just felt bad about it and decided to place charges on him or whatever. So, I mean, like I said, when they look into it, they look to see, okay, what evidence do you have? Was there any force done? Was there any is there any traces of anything left behind or anything? And if they don't find none of that when they doing their investigation, they pretty much close the case because all of that stuff costs money. They got to pay the court costs and they got to pay legal fee and all that. And they're not trying to put it in court if it's not nothing that's going to stick, because it will be bad on her, because now your face is out there in the public and it's going to make you, if he gets a good lawyer, which he probably would get a better lawyer than she would because he got a little bit of money or whatever, it's going to make her look worse. And so they probably say, you know what, it's not going to be enough evidence to make this stick, so we better just go ahead and close the case and drop all the charges that might have been facing towards this gentleman or whatever. Because like I said, when they go to court and you're putting, now he's a public figure. Now he's not a big superstar, but the boxing world know who he is. So you're going to be put in the public eye, and everybody's going to see who this lady is or who these women are. And when it comes out and they say they don't have any evidence, now you're going to start getting text messages and people going to hit your Instagram and stuff like that. So they probably looked at it like, instead of putting these women through that because they don't have strong enough evidence, instead of putting the women through that, we just going to go ahead and drop the case.
Petty ass boxing talk is in the building. What's popping, King? He said, we up in here. Salute, Miss T. Salute to you too, King. Now, Dwayne. Okay, I know you as a policeman, I understand everything you saying. As a woman, I do put a little bit onus on these women. I mean, I understand how a victim can feel and going through something traumatic, and how we as women carry guilt and carry responsibility, and how it's hard to come forward and this, that, and the other. But in today's time, okay, you have to be cognitive of those type of things. Like, you can't play around with stuff like that. Now, before you open your mouth, you already know how far you could take it. These are things that women, and I'm speaking as a woman, what we weigh in our head, how far are we gonna go with this? Because to a woman who knows that she can't see it through fruition, she not gonna even open her mouth. Like, if all I could say is, if I was a victim and I said, oh, you're the cop, and I'd be like, I'll tell you, but I'm not willing to get on the witness stand. I'm not willing to deposition. I'm not willing for you to for us to go to court and then there's discovery, and I'm not willing to do all that. But I'm willing to just tell you as a cop, you know what I'm gonna do? I have to be quiet, and I'm gonna have to seek my retribution some other kind of way, like through counseling or something like that. Because I don't have the strength to go through it all the way. So I do put a little onus on the women, because any woman knows. Nobody said that this man raped anybody. They were not in detail of what he did. So even if it was just him, I ain't trying to belittle any part of the sexual abuse crime, but come on, rape is up here, and everything else can fall like under it. So you knew how far you could take it, and you didn't take it far. So why say it at all? I have a problem with that.
Right. Now, and I mean, like I said, it's understandable, and I see exactly where you're coming from, because I'm the same way, and when I talk to these people, when I have to talk to people about certain issues or whatever, whether it's domestic or it's sexual assault or whatever it is, and I ask them, are you absolutely sure this is what happened? Because once it goes past my office, it's a whole nother ball game. Because now once you get into the courtroom, now you swore on the oath, and everything that you say got to be absolutely true, because the prosecutor or the defense attorney, they're gonna go through all your story, and they're gonna pick out bits and pieces to knock your story down. So you got to be absolutely sure this is exactly what happened, and or whatever it is. Now, I don't want to downplay what the woman might have went through,
Mm-hmm.
But just just me um giving my opinion or
Mm-hmm.
speculating, I should say. Um, it could have been a female that said, okay, yeah, this and that. Nah, I don't want to do this. And he did something anyway, and she took it another way, was like, no, you know what, just drop me off to let me go home. And then she seen him on a press conference with Tank Davis, and everybody know how big Tank Davis is. And she said, hold up, this nigga, he about to fight Tank Davis. He about to get some money. Let me try to get some money from him.
Yeah.
It could have been that. And like I said, there wasn't no evidence, or it wasn't enough evidence for the uh the police to go further on with the case or with the investigation. So they was like, you know what, it's not enough evidence here, so we're gonna go ahead and close the case. It could have been that. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just speaking hypothetically. It could have been that, and she might have seen him up there in the press conference because they was in LA and they was doing a press conference or whatever. So she could have seen him up there with Tank doing a press conference in front of millions of people watching the press conference, and like, hold up, this man about to fight Tank Davis. I know Tank Davis is a boxing star. He about to fight Tank Davis. I know he about to get some dough off of this. Let me get some money from this. So it could have been that, and that's why we never heard anything about it.
Or let me
No,
hurt
we
me.
might not. We haven't heard it. Once they had made those allegations, we never heard nothing else about it. This is
Right.
really the first thing that we heard since the allegation was made. Nobody heard of an arrest. Nobody heard of any charges brought against him. We just said, well, we heard of what the charges were supposed to be, but he was never arrested. We never seen no mug shots or none of that. And this is the first time that something came out about the case, because a lot of people forgot about the case. So we was talking on Ricky Williams, and Ricky Williams had brought it up. He was like, have any charges been brought up? And everybody was like, no, I have no charges that have been brought up or whatever. So he was like, have it been an arrest? And they were like, no, it wasn't no arrest. And that was like a month or weeks later after the whole allegation was brought up. And so that's what I'm saying. So we didn't hear anything, and then this is the first time something came out. And it was like the investigation is over with, and the case is closed, no charges. So I mean, that's what I said. It could have been a number of things why there was no investigation. I mean, there was no charges brought up or whatever. I don't know, because I'm not in that situation. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what happened.
I feel you. I feel you. And that's a relevant point. We don't know how it went there. And that's why I say you have to be careful, because we can fuck around and be putting jackets on people that we don't need to be doing, even when it comes to like Team Mayweather. And
Yeah, I mean,
and,
when you dealing with people
mhm,
or whatever, you gotta, if because nowadays sexual harassment, sexual abuse, rape, and all that stuff is real big nowadays, especially like in the workforce. Sexual
mhm,
harassment is real big. You get briefed on sexual harassment before you even get briefed on your actual job title or whatever. You
mhm.
get briefed on sexual harassment, or so that stuff is real big. So you got to be careful. I mean, the person that's being a victim got to be careful, but the person that's doing the victimizing, they got to be careful, because it might be totally innocent, and they might have just took it as, oh, I thought it was innocent, but the other
Mhm.
person took it a whole different way. Like,
Mhm.
and that could have been the situation as well. It could have been, it was total innocent, but the female took it a totally different way. And so they were like, okay, look, it was innocent. He didn't mean nothing by it or whatever. It could have been that situation as well.
It could have been. It got blown out of proportion. I think, like, even if she had ill feelings, and like you said, she saw him, it's like, oh, I'm gonna mess up his shit. Because I'm telling you, I'm one of them people. I will be vindictive if you hurt me, and I know I ain't did nothing to you. And for the
Right.
record, when you sexually abuse people, the people that you sexually abuse, 9 times out of 10, have not done nothing to you. And so
Mm-hmm.
you got to get payback. That's
Right.
me. And I don't give a fuck how I get you. Somebody gonna get you. The
Yeah.
good Lord,
Yeah.
me or the cops. But if you gonna
Yeah.
get gotten, you gonna feel my pain for life. If I gotta walk through life and feel it, you're gonna walk through life and feel something too. And that's just how
Yeah.
I live life. So she could have been
Bingo.
looking at that and saying, you know what, this motherfucker acted stupid and it won't enough to really, criminalize him, but he hurt me and I'm gonna hurt him back. Could have been that. But
Yeah, it could have been that too.
the way it looks is that, if we ain't taking, it's a lot of boxers that be doing some criminal shit, athletes, period. We ain't jumping
Yeah.
on them. We still letting them play the game because it's too much millions on the line, right? But when you jumping on somebody and there's no official charges, see, that's what make me go, He got held accountable to something that won't even official because he never was
Yeah.
brought up on charges. He never had a warrant for his arrest. These are things that
Right.
never happened.
And I was after the whole allegation had came out, I was on a Drew Titan show.
Mhm.
He has a live stream or whatever. He was talking about because he's I'm not sure if he's still in law enforcement or he's ex law enforcement, but he said the female had came out with a statement on Facebook or something like that, and she had basically went into details of what happened, and when he was reading it, he didn't read it to the public, but he said when he was reading it, he was looking at it, he was like, hold up, it's she's making it more than what it really is. That's how he took it. It's like she was making it more than what it really was. I didn't actually see the statement that she had put out or whatever, because I wasn't able to pull it up. I think she had took it down or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what happened with, but I wasn't able to pull it up. But when he said he was reading it, he was like she was making it more than what it really was. It wasn't what she claiming that he did. And so that's why I said it could have been all innocent and she just took it a whole different way.
And you know what? That's a valid point too, because it makes it look even more fishy as to why they did this to him. Because I feel like it was done to him. I
Yeah.
just that's just my gut telling me it was done to him, and it was more than just the girls involved. And when he find out who it is, you know what my answer get back. There's got to be some
And you
paper.
know you know what else made it look fishy
Hmm.
was all of these other women came out and said something about it. Oh yeah, he did this. It was like women after women. I think it was like a like 6 or 7 women came out and said, yeah, he did the same thing to me or this and that. But when the whole thing was said and done, it was only one woman. So I'm like, what happened to the other 5 or 6 women that said something about it?
Hmm.
Would their cases just got thrown out off the jump, or it was just a bogus set of women that were just coming up saying stuff? So that was another thing that made me think about it. I'm like, hold up, all these women said something, but we only hearing about this one woman. What happened to the rest of the women?
That do add to the suspicion of the whole case. It's like one of them touchy case. You don't want to say too much because there are real victims out here, and
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not
you
taking anything lightly because I mean, it very well could have been something serious, but they didn't have enough evidence on him to convict him for anything or to charge him with anything. They didn't have enough evidence to move further with the case. So it could have been something serious. It wasn't no evidence. So that's why I said I'm just speculating. I don't know exactly what happened because I wasn't there. So I'm not gonna downplay what happened to the young lady or whatever. But I'm not gonna throw him under the bus because obviously it wasn't enough evidence to charge him because they closed the case and they didn't bring no charges against him. So
yeah.
I mean, like I said, it could have very well been something serious. It just wasn't no evidence.
To all that's listening, let that be a teachable lesson for everybody, to the ladies, to the men. Men, don't put yourself in predicaments. Women too. Don't nobody, men and women, don't put yourself in predicaments that can make you look crazy on the other side. Because sometimes shit is what it look like, and even if it's not true, people can make a case just about anything. You got to be on your p's and q's. Ladies, do not ever play that game. Don't play that game.
Yeah,
Because until you gone to be with the Lord, you
man.
can always be preyed upon. So we can't never
I
play
tell
them games.
man, from my point of view of me being a man and looking at a male's perspective of it,
Hmm.
any female, any female, if you're not willing to do nothing with no guy that you just met, or even if you've known him for a while, and y'all at a club or whatever, don't ride home with him. Get in your own ride or have somebody come pick you up, because not saying that all men is like that, but a man might have been drinking and he might read more into the situation than
Mhm.
you're actually giving out, and so he might take it a certain way, especially because I know when I was younger, usually when I pick up a female from the club and we going back to the hotel or we going back to her place, I'm thinking something about to pop off, and it might not even be that way. It was a lot of times it wasn't that way. It was just we went back just to go back and conversate, and nothing happened after that. But if I was that type of guy that was just real aggressive, I would have took it the wrong way. But luckily, I was brought up in a household that had me respect all women, that I never took it like that. So, but
Mhm.
just going back, just off of the mindset, most of these guys that go out to a club, when they pick up a female at a club or they take a female out to dinner and they go back to the house or go back to the hotel, their mindset is in a different frame of mind than a
Mhm.
female's mindset might be. A female might just want to go back and talk. A
Just go.
man mindset might be want to go back and get it on.
Yeah, a lot of times we just like your company. We might actually like you like that, but we might not want to do. You know what I'm saying? We could be
Right.
having cramps. We could be having about to start our period. We don't want to, but that don't mean we not setting up shop. If that makes sense. Like if
Yeah,
I,
especially when there's alcohol involved.
yeah,
When
when
alcohol is involved, a guy is never the guy think between his legs before he think what's on top of his shoulders.
right. And like I've been at the women, we be just naive and green, and I think you guys can recognize that because I've been in that situation, especially being in my 20s. You know, taking a ride home from a guy, and fully know in my mind I just want the ride home. That's it. And
Right.
I give you my number and we'll connect some other time because I really don't have that on my agenda at the moment to get it in. But I'm thinking he on the same page as me. But like you said, what I think and what I'm seeing through my lens, he could be
Hmm.
seeing something else and thinking something else. And so to avoid all that, this is what I mean by women and men don't put yourself in a predicament. And Dwayne said it best, have your own way home. If you go to the club, have your own way home. Adhere to the girl code. Don't fucking
Hmm.
go away from that. Adhere
Yeah.
to that thing. That
And
save your
I know
life.
that, like I said, I know that firsthand because even now I go out with my wife. We'll go out for dinner or whatever, and I'd be drinking a little bit, thinking I'm about to come back home and we're gonna do something when we get home. And she be like, "Nah, babe, I'm tired. I just want to go to bed." I'm like, "What? Man, we just you, you didn't we didn't went out to dinner and all that. You know, I've been drinking. I'm thinking we about to do something." She's like, "Nah, babe, I'm going to bed." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and that's with my wife. So I know
Mhm.
going picking up a female at a club is you on a whole different mind frame. Not saying that all guys is like that, because some guys are like me. They respect females and they're not going to force a female into something that she don't want to do. Because I never force a female. If you're not giving me that vibe that you want to do something, I'm not going to go that way. We'll sit on the couch and talk or whatever, and then I'm like, all right, have a nice night. And she be like, oh, where you going? Then that okay, I know where her mind frame is at. But nah, but like I said, most guys, like I said, not all, most guys when they drinking and they go to a club and they pick up a female and they go back to the hotel or they go back to their house or their house, they
Mhm.
think in between their legs before they think with the brain on their shoulders.
Right.
So
And
women gotta realize my men think totally different. Now some women think like men too, but majority of the women think totally different than what the men think when he go to a club and pick up a female.
and y'all men got to start recognize abused women too. Like not how I say that right. Women who have been abused. Like there are telltale signs. So that means the reason I'm saying that is because like he just explained, we both think differently. But if you run across a girl who's had an issue, you got to start recognizing that, and then that should send red flags and say to yourself, Oh, I'm gonna make sure I'm on my P's and Q's. I'm not gonna put myself in predicaments. Andrew Charles said the woman described what he did on social media post or something. She said he met up with her after she got off work, pulled his shit out, and said, "What's up?" Now, this is what I mean by like how you act can be used against you. That does not shock me. There is nothing in me right now to say Rollie wouldn't do that shit. But I don't know Rollie.
Now,
Never met
now,
her.
now,
Around her.
me seeing Rolly on TV or whatever, I can imagine him doing something like that.
Imagine
But
it
in
too.
the same token,
Mhm.
it's not it's not a sexual assault. It's more of sexual harassment. And so when she says sexual assault,
Mhm.
that's it's something totally different. That's more of sexual harassment. He exposed himself, so yeah, indecent exposure or whatever.
Mhm.
But she also, like I said, it's no evidence. So it's basically her word over his word. She could
Mhm.
say, "Oh yeah, he did this," and he could say, "No, I didn't do that." So it's her word over his word.
Now you see how he just said that? And let me tell you from a female point of view. You do some shit like that, I think you are a pedophile, a rapist, and everything bad under the sun. You
Yeah,
do shit like that. That's what my mindset says. I
yeah, I would
no
think the
matter
same
what
thing.
you're saying, that's how it's playing in my head. Oh, this dude is a potential rapist. Oh, he's into that rape shit. I don't see you no other way. So it is important, like, to recognize or understand at least. It's tough as a woman to understand the mindset of a man because I'm not a man. I don't walk this earth as a man. A man, vice versa, he don't walk this earth as a woman. So we're gonna see things differently. But just to let y'all guys know, when any guy, and I don't want to say put the blanket on everybody, but any guy who does that, that is what women think of you.
Yeah,
And
but
only other
also,
woman will take that shit and act like it ain't a big deal.
okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with what you saying because I would think that too. If a guy just pulling stuff out like that, I would think something is wrong with him. He a rapist or something like that. But also looking at that and hearing that statement or whatever, I will also say, okay, he picked her up from work or whatever. We don't know if it was the daytime or the evening time or whatever, but he picked her up from work and he pulled his thing out and said, "What's up?" What
Mhm.
was the talk before he came and get you from work?
Right.
What was the conversation y'all had before he came and get you from work? Was y'all talking a sexual conversation, or
Mhm.
was it just a regular casual conversation before he came and got you? So
Now,
she had to talk to him before he came and got her.
now, what you saying right there is totally logical and reasonable, right? But let me give you the female side of it. We can't see none of that logic. At that
Right.
point,
I
we
know.
don't see
I
any
know.
of that logic. So men, when y'all do stuff like that, if y'all engage in stuff like that, please understand what it looked like on this side of the equation. He
Oh
just
no.
said
I,
some
I
reasonable
truly
shit.
understand.
That shit don't never play in our head. Rapist. That's the end. I don't care
Right.
what reasons or logic could come out your mouth. Rapist. Because if we not on that type of time, like we have never, especially if you never hit it before. You ain't never
Right.
hit it before. Please don't go there. Now, if you've been hitting it for over a year, we won't think that. We be like, oh,
Right.
you feeling frisky tonight. Maybe you want some. And all you gotta say is, nah, I don't want none. But if you've been hitting it with each other for like a year or something, you're not gonna feel threatened by that. You just be like, well, put that thing up. I ain't not tonight, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Right.
But if you
Yeah.
have
No.
never
I
hit it
truly I
before,
truly
you're a
understand that.
rapist at that point.
Yeah, I truly understand that. I'm like I said, I'm looking at it from all point of views or
Mhm.
whatever. Because like I said, I don't know exactly what happened. So all the stuff that I'm talking about is strictly off of speculations. I don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't in the car. I wasn't at that. I wasn't at the scene or none of that. I don't know exactly what happened. Whatever. It's all speculation. I'm just looking at it from all point of views or whatever. Because he could have been straight off of some perverted type mess the whole time or whatever. I don't know, but um, how can I say it? If he pulled up and he did that. What did you get in the car? And he do that, or was you outside the car? He did that, or whatever. And at the same token, when he pulled it out, did you get out the car, or did y'all continue on having y'all date or whatever?
Yeah.
So
And
that's
that's
why I said I didn't see the whole statement or whatever.
a lot of men think that way, and it's good that you're saying that because so the ladies who are watching, this is how they view things, and for the men who are watching, we don't view it like that. So none of what he just said will matter, and it's reasonable what he said, and it's logical what he said, but from a lady point of view, none of that can factor in. It doesn't even factor in our mindset because we'd be like,
Right,
what? Because if you think about it, we have to, again, we are prey. Women are preyed upon. And, we're intelligent beings, so we know how not to engage in that type of activity. But for the most part, male species are more predatory than women species. It is what it is. It's the way kind of
right,
like how we design and the hormones that we got rushing through our bodies, which make us be the way we are. So when a prey has to take into consideration every little thing, every
yeah,
little thing. The precautions we go through on a daily basis. Some of y'all men will probably be like, y'all do all that
hmm
because we
yeah,
have to. So you pulling yourself out, and we ain't never hit it, and I never even really, because even if I told you it's that kind of time, you jumping the gun a little bit. Let me warm up in
right,
this, you know what I'm saying? And so now at this point,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, he's a creep. He's creepy. He's a pervert. He's a rapist. And I can't even go to no reasonable thinking or logic at that point. All
yeah,
of that shit shut down because I never know what can happen next. I'm
yeah.
already in prey mode, like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
what
because
can I do?
I do believe when Drew Titan was saying her statement or whatever, she said something about they've been friends for a while or whatever. So she never thought he would do something like that or whatever, something like that. But my whole thing, I mean, he was totally stupid if they never had no sexual relationship like that to do something like that. That he was just dumb on his behalf. Because even with my wife, I would never do something like that with my wife, and that's my wife. I know my wife since she was 14 years old. I would never pull up, pick her up from work or whatever, and just pull my stuff out. Nah, we go back home when we do that or
Mhm.
whatever. Unless she say, "Hey, babe, pull your stuff out," then I'm like, "All right, what's going on?"
Let the lady lead
So
when that
yeah,
kinky, creepy kind of stuff. Let the ladies take the lead on that one.
right. That's what I'm saying. So he was totally stupid. He was dumb on that end off the jump, point blank period. Because me being me, if that was my sister or something like that, and she told me he did something like that, I'd be going to look for him off the jump, even though
Mhm.
it might not have even been nothing like that, or she might have led to it, but by her telling me he did this or whatever, I'd have been out there looking for him. So I
Mhm.
mean, you gotta think before you do stuff, and that's what I tell my sons all the time. When you're dealing with these females, think before you do stuff with these females,
Mhm.
because you got to understand there's a consequence behind every action that you do.
Mhm.
Every action is going to be either a good consequence or it's going to be a bad consequence, but it's a consequence behind every action that you do. So you got to think before you do stuff. The same way you got to think before you speak, because you're going to get something back. When you put something out there, you're going to get something back. It's the same thing with your actions. You got to think before you do it, because it's going to be something that's going to come back in return. So he,
Mhm.
like I said, he was dumb off the jump just doing that. If he actually did that, I don't know if he did. I'm not saying that he did. I'm not saying that he didn't. If
Mhm.
he actually did that, he was dumb off the jump just doing it.
You know a good tactic y'all fellas could use? Say to yourself, you say you want to do that. Ask yourself, now if she told her mother or father or a cop, he pulled up at my job, check. I did pull up, and he whipped his thing out and left the sentence right there. What it look like? I mean, y'all can
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself these different little questions. Those are good tactics as to not put yourself in a predicament. Oh, it's two little girls playing upstairs. And I'm a single man with no kids, and I'm not here with their parents. And I'm gonna go up there. What could I say to people to make people understand that that was normal? Ask yourself questions. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I was you guys. When it comes to stuff like this, same thing for women. Just ask yourself the basic question, and then see how that sound or play out in your head, and it will help you not put yourself in predicaments. But we do wish Rollie good, well, I hope that he gets his payback. That's what I hope, because
Yeah.
I consider what was done to him
Right.
egregious. And I just hope he gets
Now,
back.
now I will say this, putting the shoe on the other foot. Now, if she just made all this stuff up just to try to get some money out of him,
Mm-hmm.
she need to have
Yeah.
some charges brought on her for
Mm-hmm.
basically for
Mm-hmm.
basically a false police report,
That's
because you jeopardizing this man's career and he
mm-hmm.
didn't even do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes the other way as well. Whether, I mean, the guy shouldn't be putting himself in that situation. He shouldn't be doing nothing like that. But a female should not be making nothing up like that as well, because those are serious charges that you're putting on a individual, whether it's a man or a female. Because a man can do it to a female can do it to a man. Those are serious charges that you're putting on an individual that can cost them their job, cost them their career, cost them their family if they have a wife or whatever, or a significant other, and he might have just been picking her up from work and dropping her off somewhere or whatever, because she said they was friends, so he might have just picked her up to drop her off at work. And what if he had a fiance or a baby mother or whatever that was living at home with him, and she see these allegations that's brought on him? Now she just destroyed his home, and he
Mm-hmm.
didn't even do nothing wrong.
Because I told you, like, forever, if Rollie and I met, and I don't feel that he did anything, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know. But let's say I met him and I said, nah, he wouldn't do that. And I had little girls around me, my eyes would be wide open whenever he on the scene.
Mhm.
That's the stigma he has to walk for the rest of his life with. That's why I said we don't play around with it. But again, Dwayne, we have talked about that, and it's like it's hard to get into it. Like probably a lot of us would love to, because I like to throw some stones right now. But you got to be careful when you talk about people. Like we said, we wasn't there. I gotta be careful how I'm like really going hard in on the females. I just say, Rollie, if you're found innocent, get your payback and divorce yourself from around petty people who would do that to you. Like if that's
Mhm.
Mayweather promotion, you need to find another crew. You need to ride out your contract and don't say nothing. Keep your business to your chest. Um, don't let people know your every move. But when your contract is up, speed on. Find somewhere else to be. You young enough to
Mhm.
do all that stuff and still come out and have the career that you want. You just eventually time heals all wounds. So, but in the meantime, in between time, if you can get payback, I'm talking about the men involved with this, the ladies involved with it, because I believe I'm just y'all know how I see it. I would just leave it at that, because again, this is not one of them subjects I can casually talk about. I have to be very cognitive of the things that I say. He was found
Mhm.
innocent. So I want to put that out there. He was found innocent. But when I was talking about Canelo, right? And I was just
Mhm.
telling you how I feel like Canelo don't respect Charlo. Um, and he just really don't. He don't respect them. He doesn't value them. So you don't have to take him seriously. That the freeze thing, I never heard of that. I was putting that out. So one thing I will say that Canelo drops nuggets. He does some things, and even if I don't like you, I will always give you your props for the things I do like. Like when he had to chastise young Ryan, for doing the
Mhm.
bull crap that he doing. I felt like, yes, you was being a big brother. You were right to do what you did, If it motivated Ryan or changed him, that's evidently clear that you was right to do what you did. If it doesn't change him, you know what you're working with and you know how to take him going forward. And if you don't take him seriously, then why should we? Because 9 times out of 10, he wants the fans that you have. Y'all potentially having the same fans. But Canelo did
But
a good thing, and I'm bringing this up because of what I talked about yesterday. So their team instantly rebutted this notion that that he's not gonna he's gonna fight Charlo. They instantly rebutted it, if that's the word. But they offered a
mhm,
rebuttal saying, nah, we're not even talking to anyone right now. We're not in negotiation or doing anything. Just to let y'all know. They didn't say it mean. They just, made sure the fans were aware we're not in talks with the Charlos. Why they had to do it? Because ESPN straight up said it like, hey, it's a foregone conclusion. ESPN reported that Canelo was expected to fight Jamal Charlo next instead of Macabu. That's what
mhm,
ESPN said. So Canelo and them came right back out like, hey, wait a minute, hold tight. You don't speak for me. Hashtag not me. I'm really trying to start that hashtag. Hashtag not me. Because you can't, especially in these boxing street, being that we dealing with COVID and this precarious nature of how the business work, we can't be letting people talk for us. None of us. I'm talking to you as
mhm.
boxing fans talk TV. I'm a fan. That's the important word and emphasis on the word fan. But Canelo, they have people come out. ESPN is talking like they got an inside scoop on Canelo and what he about to do. So he had to correct them. You know that situation with Tim Smith. You heard of it, right? Did you talk about
Mhm.
it?
Mhm.
Where's Earl and where's the PBC with the rebuttal? That's my question.
Um, I don't think there's going to be from Earl camp. I don't think it's going to be a rebuttal because Earl is in camp for Ugas. He's not even thinking about that right now. Far as Bud, there might be a rebuttal from Bud. I'm not sure why they haven't said anything yet because they usually always got something to say. But far as PBC, I don't think it's going to be a rebuttal right away until it grows legs because of the simple fact that it came from, excuse me, it came from the guy that does PBC communications.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the person that put it out there. So unless he feel like he put something out there wrong, I don't think it's going to be a rebuttal from him. Me personally, what I said earlier on my show and
Mm-hmm.
what I've been saying on other people's platforms throughout the day, I believe that he put that information out there to try to bring down the price on Bud Crawford, what Bud Crawford is asking for. Because he said Bud Crawford is asking for too much money, but then he turned around and said, I'm not sure exactly what he's asking for. So how can you say he's asking for too much money, but then turn around and say you don't know what he's asking for?
And
So
see,
you
also,
obviously know what the money he's asking for you to say that he's asking for too much.
but here's the thing: there's no confirmation either way. Um, that they even started negotiations, sat at a table, kicked some numbers. Nobody, none of us, not me, not
Actually,
Bud fan, who. Oh, you know something?
actually, I was gonna say with him talking in that interview,
Mm-hmm.
he said it without saying it because he said, I'm not in those talks. So obviously, there's been some talks with the Bud Crawford camp and PBC. So he said it without saying it. So
But
he,
see,
and just like he said, Bud is asking for too much money. So there had to be some talk for you to say that Bud is asking for too much money.
that's a good catch. That's actually a good catch. But overall, look at the entirety of what he's saying. But no, that is a good catch because he did say that. But he said, I'm not involved in that. I wouldn't know either way. You don't know, so you can never speak on like we was just talking about the Rollie situation. We're not there, so we don't know. If you don't know, then you don't have a clue as to what was said. He said, I'm not involved. So you can't say that there's talk if you're not involved. You can't possibly know whether there's talks or if there's talks. He said, but he did say what you just said, like I'm not part of the talks or however you just said it. He's kind of confusing. But the gem that I took from that was that um PBC never has and never will want to pay Bud to be on it. You know, they're not gonna do business with Bud. So at the end of the day, whatever we was thinking as fans, we wanted that fight. It's never gonna happen. That's the conclusion I have to come up with because of his reasonings. He gave a lot of bullshit ass reasonings that I thought were good positive attributes to have. Like when he was talking about he's a southpaw. So is Earl. He's a counterpuncher. So is a lot of people. That's a good thing. That's what you teach people to do, especially like the full counter, you know. You teach people to do that. He's reserved, he's too shy. So is Earl. You know, just because you a black man don't mean you have to play the villain. That might not be you. We come in all different sizes, shapes, colors, personalities, and characters. We don't, you know, Bud or Errol Spence is a is a villain type person. That's just not who they are. And I'm okay with that. Be you, you know. But like I said, Canelo and them came right back out and rebutted. Because what I'm not clear about is he has a highfalutin position in the PBC. That means he worked with Al. You ain't speaking like that without Al permission. And so if Al and all of PBC feels that way about Bud, if you're a fighter with the PBC and you're a potential opponent of somebody like Terrence Crawford, wouldn't PBC tell said fighter that they're never interested in doing a fight with Bud? So let me be specific. PBC never wants to do business with Bud, and they never, ever, ever want to hold a fight or pay him. But Earl Spencer's got this pressure on him. People is talking about this fight. The whole country want to see the fight. The whole world want to see the fight. Wouldn't they tell Earl, nah, that ain't gonna happen. We ain't with all that. Wouldn't
No,
Earl know?
I don't.
You don't think so?
I don't think it was so much PBC don't want to do business with Bud. It was more so Bud Camp came out talking bad about Al Heyman. Like Bomac came out and was like, F Al Heyman, we don't need Al Heyman. We never doing business with Al Heyman. And it's been Keon, everything boxing sports. Shout out to Keon. He's been on platforms with members of Bud Camp, and they said Bud does not like Al Heyman. He don't want to do business with Al Heyman. But at the same token, at when PBC was saying they wasn't doing any fights with Bud, it was during the time that Bud was with Bob. They didn't want to do any business with Bob. It wasn't so much Bud, it was because Bud was under Bob and they didn't want to do business with Bob. If you notice, everybody that fights PBC fighters, they always fight on PBC platforms, except for the Sean Porter and Bud Crawford, because that was a mandatory and Bob paid for that fight. So
And Fury.
PBC motto is PBC motto is you have to sign a deal with their fighters, whether it's a one fight deal or a two fight deal or multiple fight deal. You sign a deal with PBC and fight on their platform. They're not sending their fighters to fight on somebody else's platform. Even with the Fury and Wilder trilogy, that was a co-promotion. It was PBC and Top Rank. It was not just Top Rank, and it wasn't just PBC. It was a co-promotion. So PBC is not sending their fighters to go fight on another platform. You have to fight on PBC platform. So that's what they said they wasn't doing business with Bud because Bud was under Top Rank and Bob wasn't letting Bud fight on PBC platform. because Bud would have had to sign a one fight deal with PBC to fight on PBC platform.
And most, I feel what you're saying. The only problem I got with it is that this speaking point or this narrative that Tim Smith he put out a couple of days, and a couple of days ago, Bud wasn't with Top Rank #1. I always think in my head when men, and a lot of men on these platforms, I gotta charge y'all up. I say it with love. Y'all are quick to say women are emotional, men ain't. Business is business. So because some men don't like each other, they gonna forego business. That don't make sense. Y'all gotta pick a side because that sounds like some emotional shit. As y'all always say, that's a woman shit to do. Y'all say
No, but
that.
that even when, like I said, when Bud left Top Rank,
Mhm.
he made it be known he's not doing business with Al Heyman. It wasn't so much we was being emotional about it. He said he wasn't doing business with Al Heyman. So we kept saying, how you gonna do the fight with Earl Spence if you're not doing business with Al Heyman? You don't have a network company. You're not signed to nobody. You out there in the open by yourself. You
Can
don't
you
have a network to fight on.
Well, Andrew Charles said, I know the fight ain't happening this year. Take that to the bank. That's how I feel. He also said, I can understand all the arguments about business and economics, but I never picked up any energy from Spence that he really wants to fight. And then he said, Bud can fight PBC fighters, but but he should never lock himself into any kind of long-term contract with the PBC or IMO. Dwayne, you gonna have to like either point out the source of or when did because I'm interested in because I
This was on. They have a Facebook group. I can't think of the name of the Facebook group,
Mhm,
but they have a Facebook group, and they was on there talking. It was Bud Crawford's nephew. Um, I
mhm,
believe Bernie was on there. Bomac was on there,
mhm.
and a couple of other people from Bud's camp. And they said Bud is not doing any business with Al Heyman. And this was after he left Top Rank. He was like, he's not doing any business with Al Heyman. And so we kept asking, how you gonna get the fight with Earl Spence if you're not doing business with Al Heyman? You have to do business with Al Heyman because you don't have anybody else to back you. You don't have Top Rank so you can be on ESPN. MTK Global, they don't have a network company. You're not signed to Eddie Hearn and DeJean. So what platform are you gonna be on in order to make this fight happen? If you really want the fight, the only way you can make the fight happen is by doing business with Al Heyman. And to go back to what Andrew said, he said he never seen no energy that Earl really wants to fight. Earl has always said he's going for undisputed. And he said, when I get this third strap, we're gonna see who really don't want the fight. So it's no more energy that he can give you than letting you know that he's going for undisputed. And the only way to get undisputed is to fight Bud Crawford. And he just put out a video, his strength and condition coach just put out a video that was approved by Earl Spence saying his road to undisputed. The only way you can get undisputed is by fighting Bud Crawford. But like I was saying, the only way Bud can get this fight with EJ, if he really wants this fight with EJ, is by doing business with Al Heyman because he is not backed by nobody. He doesn't have any platform to fight on. So the only way you could do it, unless he knows somebody that's going to cough up some money and put a network up there for him to fight on, the only way you can get this fight from EJ is by doing business with Al Heyman.
Hey, if anybody can point to me, like y'all can email me at Boxing Fans Talk, not Boxing Fans Talk TV, but Boxing Fans Talk at gmail.com. Just the link, or just because I was sitting here just looking for it. I'm still looking for it. I would like to see that because that part
I'm a,
I
I'm
didn't
I'm a
see.
ask. I know Keon knows it because Keon's been on their group on their Facebook group a lot. I'm gonna ask Keon what's the name of that Facebook group, and I'm gonna send it to you. Soon as I get it from Keon, I'm gonna ask him what's the name of that Facebook group, and because Keon he's on there quite often. He's not on there every day, but he's been on there quite often, and he's been talking to a lot of Bud. Like I said, he talked to Bud nephew. He's talked to Bernie. He's talked to Bomac, and he's talked to other people that's in Bud's camp, and they all said it. Bud is not doing any business with Al Heyman. They done said that many times. He's not doing business with Al Heyman, and it even came from I believe Keon said it came from Bud mouth one time that he was doing an interview or something like that, or he saw Bud in a chat or whatever, and Bud said he doesn't like Al Heyman. He's not. Oh no, he said um, he was talking to um one of Bud's close partners inside of his camp, and he said the guy told him that Bud does not like Al Heyman, and he would never do any business with Al Heyman. That's what it was.
Okay.
He
Now,
said this is what Bud told him, and he
so
said he's a close partner to Bud Crawford.
yeah, I didn't see it. But I
So,
can't
but
you can
that
tell it on something that I didn't see or hear, and I take your word for it. But if somebody can point that out, because I would be very interested in seeing that. Um, and the daytime group that I'm concerned about is from whence Bud and Al and Bob severed ties, which would be the date of the fight. What was it, November 20th, when he pretty much fired Bob on spot. Now, anything from that date forward, because from my understanding, they wasn't getting no play with PBC, period. And even if you go to
right,
the Tim Smith interview, um, he basically spelled out that PBC never did and never will want to do business with Bud. And that's the perspective. Context is everything. And that's what I got out of his little snippet. And I'm not saying what you're saying is not true. I would just like to see that like in its
no,
entirety.
yeah. Like I said,
If
if I get I'm gonna ask Keon to tomorrow, because I believe he's not on right now. I'm not sure if he's on anybody else's live or whatever. But I'm gonna ask Keon tomorrow, because I know he'll be on live tomorrow.
Mhm.
If you're available, you can come on his show tomorrow as well. He comes on 3:30 Eastern time.
Okay. Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're on the East Coast or the
I'm
Midwest or
East Coast.
whatever. I'm not sure.
I'm East
You on the
Coast.
East Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes on at 3:30 Eastern time. It's called Everything Boxing and Sports.
Okay. I think I
Yeah.
seen him
Um,
before.
but yeah, you can bring it up, and he'll tell you he's talked to them personally, and he'll tell you exactly what I'm telling you. That
Okay.
Bud Crawford said he's not doing business with Al Haymon. And that's where a lot of stuff came from. Like, how you saying you're not doing business with Al Haymon? You just left Top Rank. You don't have any platform to back you. You don't have a promotional company. You don't have a platform to fight on. So how you not going to do business with Al Heyman? You have MTK Global, but that's your advisor or management company. That's not your promotional company, and that's not a platform to fight on. They don't have a platform to fight on.
Andrew
So
Charles say Al has been keeping Bud on ice for years. Why should Bud run to him? That's a relevant point too. If Bud was feeling this way, and I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying human as a human, the regular person. If a person been shitting on you for years and years and years, just because you got out of a situation that you was in that they was using as the reason that they were shitting on you, it don't mean that you can have that warm and fuzzy that, oh, now, bygones are bygones, open up the floodgates type thing. But I would, like I said,
but
from November 20th to now, that's what I'm interested. I don't care about the stuff that happened with Bob, because we know kind of what happened with Bob, even when he didn't
no, but
fights with Pacquiao
without no, I was just going to ask, how can you say Al Heyman been shitting on Bud?
well, he said Al been keeping him Bud on ice, because if you listen to what Tim Smith said, they never did. They never did. They never do want to. Bud has no value to them. My problem was if Bud and Canelo pretty much got the same record. They pretty much
No,
got
but Canelo signed with PBC in order to get that fight with Caleb Plant.
He wasn't always signed. He signed after the
No,
fact.
no. But what I'm saying is he
Mhm.
never fought a PBC fighter. Look at
Right.
all the Canelo fights. There was the only PBC fighter he fought was
What?
Floyd Mayweather.
What about Laura?
Laura, I'm
What
not
about
sure
Kirkland?
if Laura's a PBC fighter or not. I'm not sure.
They might
But
have their own promotion, but I think they went through PBC, and then you got Kirkland. I could think of
but yeah, but
him.
when he fought Caleb Plant, he
Mhm.
signed a deal with PBC to fight Caleb Plant. He wasn't signed. He was supposed to be signed to Eddie Hearn at the time,
Right.
but he pushed Eddie Hearn out the door, and he went ahead and did his business with Al Heyman on his own.
And that's what could have happened. This is what could be the same situation for Bud, because when Canelo was otherwise occupied by Eddie Hearn and PBC, and we know that PBC, Bob and Eddie, they don't always come together. And we know there's some difficulties with that, right? So once he
Hmm.
got free of that difficulty, he went and made a decision to go ahead and bygones be bygones, sign with PBC, and they roll out the copper for him. That could be the same thing for Bud. Bud finally got rid of the albatross over his head, which was Bob Arum. And this is as of November. This is 2 months ago, November 20th, 2021. So from that day forward, Bud could have been like, let bygones be bygones. Uh, Come on, let's get this thing together. Now, from my understanding, what you're saying is even after November 20th, Bud has stated since then, since that date, that he don't want to get down with PBC. That is relevant. That is a relevant thing. But if you're talking about
Hmm.
anything before that date, that is not
No,
relevant.
this is after. Now he said it before, but what I'm talking about is since he left Bob. What I'm talking about since he left Bob. Now
Okay.
he said it before he had left Bob, but he's also said it after he left Bob that he's not doing business with Al Heyman. He like F Al Heyman. I'm not doing no business with Al Heyman. I don't need Al Heyman.
Okay. That would be
So
something
I mean,
interesting. That would be something
so
interesting.
with that being said, if you don't have no company to pay for the fight or no platform to have the fight on,
Mhm,
you basically saying you don't want this fight.
mhm,
So, because the only way you can make it is by doing business with Al Heyman. So, I mean, and like I said, if he gets a promotional company and a platform to have the fight on, then by
mhm.
all means, Earl can go over there and fight Bud on that platform. It doesn't make me a difference as long as we get the fight. But right now, at this point, and
It'll
right at
still
this
be a
point, he don't have
PBC.
nothing.
It'll still, even no matter where Arrow goes, it'll still be a PBC venture. But in the end of the day, until I hear it in its full context, because I want to judge for myself, because I took a position on this. And as far as I'm concerned, at this point, Errol Spence is ducking. I have to say that. Because even when they did that meeting, when they
I
met
wouldn't
up,
say Earl Spencer's ducking.
and he said, "Let me clean out my side of the street." Ugas wasn't on he wasn't part of that at the time.
Now,
He
I
said, "I'm gonna get Sean Porter." Now, after he fought Sean Porter, the next step was supposed to be Bud. Period.
No, the next step was him getting his belts. He's always said, "I'm gonna get all these belts." You gotta listen to what he said.
But
He's
Bud
always
has a
said,
belt.
"I'm gonna get all these belts, and then I will fight Bull. I will get that last belt because that last belt at the time was tied up with Top Rank." So he's always said that, and he had already before Bud even fought Sean Porter. He had already signed a contract to fight Ugas for that last belt. So he's
Okay,
been doing that.
we also need a date. Boxer Fans Talk TV channel needs a date because I hear that a lot. Because as of the Pacquiao Ugas fight, it was a four-long conclusion and a final decision at that date, which was November. Was it 27th? Was it the 27th? Or whatever date that they met up in November last year. Not November. I'm sorry, August. Whenever Pacquiao and Ugas fought, I apologize. Not November, but August. Um, there was no contract, to my knowledge, that Earl and him had, because right after that fight, he was put in the box off. Now, if he had a contract already signed, sealed, and delivered, there would be no way the WBA could have put him in a box off because you have to honor your contracts. They are binding. So as of that date that Ugas and Pacquiao fought, there was no contract. A month later, it was roughly a month. I don't know the exact time, but he was put in that box off. He cried about
No,
it.
actually, what I will say is you can have a contract, but if the sanctioning body doesn't sanction that fight, there's no fight. I mean, you can fight, but you won't be fighting for that belt.
I don't think
You
they
can
can go like
you
that.
can have a contract. That's like right now, Bud and Sean. I mean, Bud and Terrence Crawford can sign a contract right now in the fight. But if the sanctioning body doesn't sanction that fight, they'll just be fighting just to be fighting. They won't be fighting for a belt.
Here's
They had a fight like that a couple of about I think like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. They had a fight that it was a fight that wasn't sanctioned. I believe it was the Miguel Bissett. I believe it was him. He had a fight that wasn't sanctioned. He fought anyway, but it wasn't for the belt.
Here's the thing. Now's the time because Tim Smith done pissed off a lot of fans. He pissed me off. And I'm a person that like to be in the middle. That's just my character. That's just my way. I don't try to be indecisive. I'm not like no wallflower or Millie Mouse person. I'm a believer in compromise because nothing can be absolute either way. You have to meet people in the middle. Great things come out of compromises. I believe in that. So a lot of times on this channel, I've played the middle because I like them both, right? But I'm here to say, when you sign a contract, nobody can come behind you. I don't care what the contract is on. It could be boxing, football, it could be whatever. The one who had the contract first, that's the way it has to go. There is nothing on the record that I've ever heard of or seen where somebody signed a contract and somebody else could come behind them and negate what they signed. That cannot
No,
be.
no, no. I didn't say they negate what they signed. What
But
I'm
you are
saying is
saying
this.
that. But you are saying
No,
that,
what?
man.
No, I'm not. Because what you have to realize is the sanctioning body sanctioned the fight. You can sign a contract for a fight, but the sanctioning body still has to sanction that fight. If they don't sanction that fight, then there won't be a fight. The sanctioning body has to sanction a fight. You can have a contract without the sanctioning bodies.
I get that part that the sanctioning body has to sanction fights, but the part I'm trying to say is that if, like, okay, when Ugas and Pacquiao met in August, there was no contract with Earl. There was no contract with the sanctioning bodies to put him in the box off. None of that was a factor. What came next was the box off first. That's what I believe.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay, so we know that the box off came pretty quickly. Even I was saying, like, how y'all gonna do this man like that? He's not an interim champion, he's a real champion. How y'all gonna put him in a box off? Because the box off, when the WBA came out and was stating how they getting rid of a lot of belts, this was one of the tactics they
Remember,
would
you
use
got to
to get
remember.
these belts. You got
You
to
got to
come up with
remember.
they got to come up.
Listen. I'm about to tell you. It happened before the Manny Pacquiao fight happened. Remember, Ugas and Earl was talking about fighting.
Talking.
Ugas said he wanted. Listen, Ugas said he wanted 50-50. They was like, they're not giving him 50-50. So everything went quiet. Then all of a sudden, they was like, Manny Pacquiao said he wanted to fight Earl Spence. Earl Spence like, I don't need Manny Pacquiao. I'm making my own legacy. They had already agreed to fight. But then Earl said, I'll take the Manny Pacquiao fight now, get that fight out the way, because I wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao.
Why, other than the fact that it was a legacy, you still at that point when y'all be saying that Earl do what he say. I'm gonna read some of these chats stuff, but when y'all say that Earl does what he say he gonna do, no, he don't, because the Pacquiao is a good fight for anybody on their resume. I get it. That's why people like me was like, oh, it's on his resume. It's a good fight. However, that's not what you said. Pacquiao had nothing to offer you but the fact that you beat a legend, or and it's on your resume now. That's all he had to offer you. You said clean up my side of the street, get the belts. Which one is it? Get the belts or fight legacy fights too? Bud was next after Porter. But let me say this because I know I'm not a lawyer, but I
He
know
never said Bud was next after Porter.
he did. He named
No, he
Porter.
didn't. He never said Bud was next after Porter.
He named him specifically. But I would say this. I would say this. I'm not a lawyer, but I know the law a little bit. And I know that the day of Pacquiao and Ugas fight, there was no contract on the table. You can say you talked about it. You can say you verbally agree. That is not the same as a signed contract. Whatever you was talking about, all of that shit is moot because you did not sign a contract. The WBA jumped on Ugas before Earl did. I wish I had it. If anybody know the exact time from the day that Pacquiao and Ugas fought to the day that the WBA ordered him to be in the box off, hit me up at Boxing Fans Talk at gmail.com because I would like to know that. I'm gonna look into it too. But it was like a month later. They hit him up, they put him in his box office.
It was 2 months.
And maybe so you saying October.
They put him in a tournament 2 months later.
So that would be October. Okay. If it's
and
that
that's why there was a big I'm telling you, that's why it was a big thing because they had already agreed for Earl Spence.
They didn't. There was no signature. Now, what to me,
I'm telling you, it was
Earl, for these fans that are pissed off. For these fans that are pissed off, there has to be clarity going forward. So to me, Earl or Ugas, somebody who in the know, come out and show this signed contract as of October or before October, before the WBA has said what they said, because the WBA has no standing if them two agree to a fight and in writing with signatures. The WBA cannot come and negate that shit. They cannot do that because it's a legal binding contract. Now, if the WBA got to Ugas first and all that stuff, then they got to them first. And the the PBC says we don't have no money for Terrence, but you got money for Stanionis. And I heard it was to the tune of at least $1 million. But let me get some of these chats. Andrew Charles said there are benefits supposedly for signing with the major promoter, but I think Bud, I guess you meant Bud, should stick to independent at this point. Errol isn't the only option. Andrew said Errol doing what he said he was going to do is the current narrative. Petty ass said not true. Ugas had no contract. Steve Houston, welcome to the building, King. He said, why was they fighting so hard to make Pac the champ? And then he said, if they didn't want to love past Ugas, correct that, Stephen. Andrew said it was super shady. They took Pac's belt when Crawford was on the table. And Andrew said fans today consider anything from tweets to third person accounts to be a contract. Macadocious Mac of the South is in the building with Poppy King. He says, salute the lovely and beautiful Madame Queen Miss T. Salute to you too, King. And he says, salute my brother, King D, free.
What's going on?
But what I'm saying, contract law is contract law. And in boxing, they sign a contract. If they got there first, whoever got there first is whoever got there first. I do not believe and have not seen proof that contract was inked and signed, sealed, delivered before the WBA put him in that box off. And if that is,
you're not gonna see nobody's contract.
Well, they can do it now. They can do it now because now the contract that they signed is different. They've signed the contract now, and they had to pay step aside money. But again, if it was about the belts, just like if they find fault in saying, why did Terrence pick Jeff Horn? He could have easily picked Keith Thurman, or he could have easily picked Earl Spence. I don't think he could have easily picked them, but he had the pick of the litter, but they were not willing dance partners. They directed him to go over there and handle business with Jeff Horn. Earl is on video saying that. We know Keith.
Earl never said that. Earl
Yes,
never
he
said
did.
that.
Yes,
No,
he
he
did.
did not. I heard the video. I
I
got the
promise
video.
you. I promise you. I
I
just
got the
found the
video.
video. I
I
promise you,
got the
boy.
video. What he said was,
He
I'm
said it.
cleaning up all the belts on my side. Listen, this is his exact words. I'm cleaning up all the belts on my side. Then I'm going to get that one. If Bud gets that belt, then I would take it from him. Bud didn't have the belt at the time. Bud wasn't even in the division at the time. Bud wasn't even in the division when he said it.
I
So how can he
promise.
say how can he tell Bud
Promise.
to go get the belt when Bud wasn't even in the division? He was still at 140.
Dwayne, I will provide that tape if I can't possibly. I could tell you
When
where.
was the tape? When was
Hold
the?
on,
I can tell you right now. When was the video done?
hold on. But pretty much when Bud was coming into the division, I could tell you. Listen, I'll go find that tape on my own. But to tell you where I just saw it, and when I tell you I just saw it, I had to ask that person. Can I either share their video or ask them to provide me the tape? And the next time we meet up, whether you come on here or not, I'm going to play it. But I
What did he
saw
say?
it with my own eyes.
What did he say?
He said, before you can basically, I'm putting my sake on, I'm gonna paraphrase. Before you can come chop it up with me or line me up, you need to go take care of Jeff Horn and get a belt. That's Earl. We already know that Keith was like, man, get a belt. You ain't ready. We know how Keith was acting. Everybody know that's not dispute. But y'all don't
When was this video? When was this video put out?
Obviously it was put out as Crawford is coming into the division.
No. Was the video? You can't say as he was coming into the division because why would he say go see Jeff Horn? Because he don't have to go. Listen. When you're coming up to the division, when you're coming up to the division as an undisputed fighter, you don't have to go see a specific fighter. You can go see any champion. So it means that Bud Crawford already signed a contract with Jeff Horn. So he said, you need to go chop it up with Jeff Horn and get that and see Jeff Horn. So he already signed the contract. I know what video you're talking about. He already signed the contract with Jeff Horn.
Listen,
I know what video you're talking about. I'm a Errol Spence fan. I seen every video Errol Spence put out. Bud Crawford had already signed the contract.
Who did Bud? What was the first thing Bud did when he came into 147?
What you mean? What was the first thing he did?
I mean, he's 140. He's undisputed. He drops the belt. What was his first move at 147?
He fought Jeff Horn.
Okay. Now the narrative has been, why you pick Jeff? Why you ain't pick Keith? Why you ain't pick me? Why you ain't pick me as someone like Errol Spence? Why you had to go like he just arbitrarily just went straight to Jeff Horn? Okay. This video is obviously before he even had a fight.
What I'm saying is, it was before he had the fight, but it was after he signed the contract to fight Jeff Horn. That's what I'm telling you. It was after he signed the contract to fight Jeff Horn. Because coming up, you can fight any champion. You can fight any champion when you're moving up. He's not going to tell you if Bud Crawford is coming up to 147 from 140 as the undisputed champion, he's not going to point out Jeff Horn. He could have said, you go fight Keith Thurman. Why would he say Jeff Horn?
You don't want to believe it, do I?
No, I'm telling you logic. Why would you say Jeff Horn of all people? Why would you say Jeff Horn? You could have said go fight Keith Thurman.
That you have to.
I'm telling you. Listen, I'm telling you. I know when the video was put out.
I look at it like this. Bud Crawford had an opportunity to pick whoever he wanted. We both on that?
He did.
Okay, so to ridicule him for whoever he picked, to me, that's senseless.
We're not ridiculing him. I'm not gonna say we. I'm not ridiculing him.
I ain't saying you.
I'm not ridiculing.
Fans did.
But what I'm saying is
they used it as some kind of legitimate way to say something disparagingly about Bud.
No, Crawford. What I'm saying is this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not even going to put it in Bud Crawford and EJ's perspective. If you going to this job interview, and I mean you going to this job and you had the opportunity to get any position at this job, you're not going to take the low level position. You're going to take the top level position. You had any level, you can get any level. You had the one opportunity. You're coming to this position, to this job, and they say you have one opportunity to get either associate, a supervisor, a manager, or an assistant manager. You have that opportunity to get any one of those positions. You're not going to take the associate position. Why? Because it's the low level position. You can go back to associate at any given time. You're going to take a supervisor or assistant manager or a manager. You can always be demoted back down to associate. So why would you start off at the bottom? Why not go for
This
one of
woman
the
is
top
smiling because
positions
she was
first?
finally able to eradicate her.
I'm sorry. Could y'all hear that?
James, Aaron, what's going on?
Did y'all hear that?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was trying. There's no way for me to look at it. Let me see. I'm listening to you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. It was no way
Yeah,
for me
but
to look at it.
you're not going to take the low. You're not going to take the low level position. You're going to take a higher position, because you can always be demoted down to that low level position. If you're at that low level position, there's nowhere for you to go below that except for out the door. So it's the same thing with Bud Crawford. When he came to the division, you had the silver bullet. You could have took any one of those fighters. I'm not even counting EJ, because he didn't call out EJ. He said his number one objective when he came to the weight class was Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, and Danny Garcia. Manny Pacquiao, he didn't have a belt at the time. You could have went straight to Keith Thurman. Whether Keith Thurman fought you or not, if Keith Thurman dropped that WBC belt and you fought for the vacant WBC belt, or you went for the WBA super belt, and he would have dropped that belt, you would have fought for the vacant WBA belt. But if you went for the WBC belt and he dropped that WBC belt, you will be fighting for a WBC champion, vacant belt, and the person that you would have been fighting for that vacant belt would have been Danny Garcia. So you had that WBC title fight right there. If you beat Danny Garcia, you get the WBC title, you can always go back and fight Jeff Horn. He had a 3-fight deal. Jeff Horn was there. You could have always went back and fight Jeff Horn. You think Bob was not going to let Terrence Crawford fight Jeff Horn after he get the WBC to unify, make it a big money fight?
You know what? We could say the same thing about Ugas. Errol Spence could have always fought Ugas after he didn't match it up with Bud, because they know that's the fight we want to see. We could say that too. That's why I'm saying, like, it's a combination.
Earl Spence could have always fight Ugas.
It's just like what you said. He could have always fought Jeff Horn. He could always come back and make that fight. Same thing with Errol Spence doing right now. He could always have fought Ugas. He could have picked Bud. Both Ugas and Bud have one belt. He could have picked either one of them.
At the time, Bob was not making the fights with PBC. That's why he said he was cleaning up all of the fights on his side, because Bob was not making those fights with PBC. Bud came out and told you, Bob is not making that fight. Bud told you, Bob was not making the fight. So how can Earl go and fight Bud if Bob is not making the fight?
So in order for Ugas and Errol to fight, like as of right now, did a step aside money had to be paid?
In order for Ugas and Earl to fight right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So suffice to say, until they inked that deal with Stanionis and Ugas was going to fight, correct?
Yeah.
Now, when did Stanionis get his step aside? Because that was recent. That was in the last couple of weeks.
I'm not sure exactly when he got his step aside money, but I know whenever the fight was announced, he had already agreed to take a step aside.
We got to talk about what was signed. We can't be talking about agree, because a lot of people, like y'all say, Bud will say one thing, then he say another. Spence could say one thing, then they say another. We got to talk about what's concrete, the actual signature. My point is, Tim Smith let me know in no uncertain terms that PBC would never do business with Bud. And I don't put that on Bud. I put that on PBC. Now, my thing when I made the connection with Canelo and how they came out and rebutted what ESPN tried to say. Now, ESPN is bigger than everybody. PBC ain't got shit on ESPN. ESPN do football, basketball, baseball, everything. ESPN came out and emphatically said Charlo was next. Canelo and his team. Whoa, tight, hold tight. No, that's not the case. Not me, bro. Not me. We ain't in negotiation with nobody. I have yet to see PBC come out and rebut Tim Smith. I've yet to see Earl come out and rebut Tim Smith. And the fact that they just, and I mean just, paid Stanionis step aside. So up until they paid him and he signed that contract, Ugas and Stanionis was on. Not Earl.
They didn't have a signed contract neither though.
Again, dude, you cannot, and this another thing, you can't say that Ugas and what you call him had a signed contract when Stanionis and Ugas was about to fight. There can't be two.
They didn't have a contract. They didn't have a contract. That's why he was able to pay. Ugas and Stanionis didn't have a contract. That's why he was able to pay step aside money.
They were under order.
No, that was his next fight. They didn't sign a contract. That was his next fight because he was put in the tournament. He was the mandatory. That's his next fight. They didn't make a contract yet, but that was his next fight because he was the mandatory. That wasn't a signed contract. It was his mandatory. He was his next fight.
He was obligated. Come on now.
He was.
Everybody here has.
You gotta listen to what I'm saying.
Of Ugas crying, like Ugas and.
You gotta listen to.
Ugas was not talking like he had a choice. Ugas was talking about like he's
because it was his mandatory. He didn't have a choice.
He was ordered. It was ordered.
Listen, he did not. Right. He was ordered to fight him. He didn't have a choice, but they didn't have a contract yet. He didn't have a choice. It was his man. It was the same thing with Sean Porter and Bud Crawford. He was ordered to fight him. If Bud didn't have a choice, if Bud didn't fight him, he would have had to drop the belt. If Ugas didn't fight him, he would have had to drop the belt. He didn't have a choice, but it wasn't a signed contract. Bud Crawford and Sean Porter's fight wasn't signed. It was going to go to a purse bid. And then Bob came out and signed right before it went to a purse bid. It wasn't signed right away.
Okay, now orders.
But we already knew that they had it was ordered.
Orders is not binding. now we're gonna say orders are not binding by sanctioned bodies. But okay, but look, Dwayne.
Order is not binding by a sanctioned body. Order is not binding.
Come on now.
No, order is not binding by a sanctioned body. Is either you fight or you drop the belt. You don't have to fight. You're not going to lose any money. You just lose your belt because you're under a sanctioned body. It's not binding.
Did he drop his belt? So he was obligated.
He didn't drop the belt. They paid step aside.
Did you just said orders? You just said it like he's not obligated to fight because they could drop a belt. You offer that as a reasonable way to get out of an order. But if you don't drop the belt, you are ordered, and that's what you're doing next. You're not doing nothing else next. If it was about that Errol Spence and Ugas had a binding contract and theirs was more tight and concrete than the WBC was saying, then why do they have to pay Stanionis any money?
They do. If, like I said, they do have to. If they ordered, okay, I'll put it this way. If when who was it that had to pay step aside money? When they try to pay Deontay Wilder, they try to pay Deontay Wilder. Was it Deontay Wilder for step aside money? No, it wasn't Deontay Wilder. Who was it they was trying to pay step aside money to?
Recently?
It was somebody they was trying to pay step aside money to. I can't remember. It was a mandatory fight. They were trying to pay step aside money, and he said, "I'm not taking step aside money. I want my mandatory fight." And they had to fight because he was the mandatory.
Exactly, and that's what.
So if he was the mandatory, so they had to pay. He had to fight, but that doesn't necessarily mean the contract is signed. You still have to work out a contract. That's why they say you have a certain amount of days in order to work out the contract, or it will go to a purse bid.
Check it out. Andrew Charles said, "We all know this was said. Stop. We all know this was said, bro. Stop it. We've argued about this for years. Listen to me, Dwayne. If you got to pay step aside, let's say Earl, because we don't know if Earl gave him the money or PBC, but one of them jokers gave him that money. Thomas Sandioni. Let's say if Earl contract and Uga's contract was first and so binding, why would you
I
come
didn't
out
say
your pocket to pay
I didn't I
somebody?
didn't say I didn't say it was so binding.
So
I said
whose
I
contract?
said
Hold on, Dwayne. Whose contract is binding? The first person, the first contract, or the middle contract, or the third contract? Because in this situation,
whoever
it's 3 contracts from
whoever
what you think.
whoever the sanction body is sanctioning, that's who contract is binding.
And
You
WBA
have to
had
you
the
have to
power.
have the sanctioning body.
The WBA had the power here over Earl, and anything Earl and Ugas could have agreed verbally or talked about. The sanctioning body had the upper hand in this whole situation. In order for Earl and Ugas to get what they want, they had to petition the WBA. Standing onus had to be agreeing with what they saying. Otherwise, it's a no-go for Ugas and Earl. So my question
No,
comes back to, hold on. My question comes back to, okay, if Ugas got one belt and Terrence got one belt, there's no daylight in between both of them. So suffice to say, which one is the biggest money fight? Which one is all the fans calling for? They're calling for Terrence and Errol. They're not calling for Earl and Ugas. Whichever one Terrence or Earl wins, they can always go back and get Ugas to make it the
yeah,
final piece of the puzzle.
they
Hold
could,
on, hold on, hold
but
on,
in
hold on.
go ahead, go ahead.
Because that's no daylight in between both of them. At that point, for me, Earl, you ducking. You ducking. Because why are you going to
I
Ugas
told you
when the fight
earlier in
behind
the show.
you is
Bud
blood?
Crawford said, hold on 1 second.
Okay,
Hold on 1 second.
I got you.
Hold on.
I'm just reading these chats. Andrew Charles said, "We all know this was said, bro. Stop it. We've argued about this for years." Andrew also says, "Sometimes you gotta ask yourself what's more likely, that I'm right about everything, or do other people sometimes have a point?" Petty ass says Spence loses to Bud, period. Andrew said, "You heard it." And Andrew said, EJ fans never count EJ when they talk about possible Bud matchups. And then Andrew said, wonder why. Noah said, calm down, King. Spence does not want no Bud smoke. If so, T.I. will be next. um, you tell us, bro. You know everything. He's just speaking his piece, y'all. All you got to do is pay the sanctioning fees. Other than that, they have no say in what goes into a contract. All I was saying, and I'm just reiterating while we're waiting on Dwayne here. All I'm saying is that when they met up in that hallway and it was Bud and Errol and a bunch of guys and Bob, he said, "Let me clean up my side of the street," and nobody had a problem with that. He said that was his agenda. It's his career to do whatever he want to do. He specifically named Sean Porter. Okay, if y'all can be mad at Bud for going to Jeff Horn at the direction of Keith Thurman and Earl Spence, the ones who had a belt when he came into 147, but you guys were up in arms about that, then why can't we be up in arms about the fact that after he said, "Let me get Sean Porter," because that was the one he wanted to face, and then Bud next. Because to fight Pacquiao gives you nothing but a legacy fight on your resume. He gives you nothing, nothing at all. He had no belt when Earl and him was about to meet. The only person that had the belt was Ugas, and that was decided what, July? That was cemented in July, because Ugas was the champion in recess because they took it from back, and then it was cemented in July, right before the fight, that Ugas is the regular champion. So Earl would have went into that fight, but not for the eye injury. He would have went into that fight, and all it would have been was just a legacy fight. Meanwhile, Ugas was on that card, remember, with the regular WBA belt. And it seemed like to me a month, but I'm gonna narrow down that date. It seemed like to me about a month later, Dwayne said 2 months later, that the WBA comes out and saying, you know what, you're in that box off. Y'all remember Ugas crying to everybody but Santa Claus, saying, like, this ain't fair. Why am I a part of this? I know you guys said getting rid of some belts, but I don't have an interim belt. I have a real championship belt. Why do I got to be a part of this? He didn't want that. And I've even did a show. It's like, that's not fair to do to him because you're robbing him of an opportunity to make a big fight. When he can make a fight with Earl, he can make a fight with Bud. You're taking that away from him. So I'm not even mad that Earl gets a fight with Ugas because that would be the logical step. I always say also that all three of them only need to worry about all three of them. They don't need to be looking at no other fighters. But at that point, Ugas was obligated elsewhere. So the next step was Bud Crawford. That was the next step. Y'all used Sean Porter as a measuring stick. And then when the fight didn't go y'all way, y'all changed the rules or you moved the goalposts. I see that because I remember the talk before Sean Porter. Matter of fact, most of Bud fighters that he fight or opponents, there's a lot of talk, measuring stick, whatever. Then after the fight is he was washed up, he won't no good. It's always something. So I specifically said I'm gonna pay attention to this. Hell, my mom, who don't even watch boxing, was even say, y'all just need to wait and see. Just wait and see. So we waited and see, and Bud did his thing. Then it was like, oh, Kenny stopped it before Bud even really knocked him out. No, Bud knocked him out. It's a knockout. So in the end of the day, right after that fight, the only other talk that should have been is Bud and Errol. I was pissed, and I was like, man, why is they going out of their way? Because you really got to go out of your way to dig in your pocket to pay somebody named Stanley Onis, who most of the boxing world don't even know, just to get him to step aside so you can go fight him. When you didn't have to pay nobody step aside, you could have went straight to Bud and y'all could have made that fight, but you don't want to. That's cool.
You're not understanding.
I'm like,
you're not understanding. I told you, Bud said he's not doing business with Al Heyman, so how can he make the fight? He said he's not doing business with Al Heyman. That's the same issues that we having right now. Bud said he's not doing business with Al Heyman. So it doesn't matter if he tried to fight Bud before Ugas or he tried to fight Bud after Ugas. Bud is the one that's saying he's not doing business with Al Heyman.
You got to prove that. You got to also prove.
I don't have to prove it.
I'm sorry.
I already know. I know without a shadow of doubt.
Let me rephrase that, King, because you're a friend to the show. Anybody who say that there was a contract already done, y'all got to prove that between Errol and Ugas. Y'all have to show that. At this point, you have to show that because we know it never was. That's number one. Number two, why you going out? Who paid to step aside? We need to know that too.
Al Heyman paid to step aside.
This fight is in the court of public opinion. Let everything be in the court of public opinion. You said
Al Heyman paid to step aside.
Okay.
Bud ain't. I mean, Earl ain't paying no money out of his pocket.
At whose request? So we gonna say that Earl didn't know that was going down.
I didn't say Earl didn't say he didn't know that was going down. I said Earl was working behind the scenes to get the Ugas fight.
Yeah, he should have been working behind the scenes to get the Bud fight.
He can't work behind the scenes to get the Bud fight if Bud keeps saying he's not doing business with Al Heyman.
But I
see y'all see it from what Earl didn't do, but y'all not seeing what Bud didn't do. Did you see Bud say, I'm gonna go work with Al Heyman? Have Bud ever say, I'm gonna go work with Al Heyman to get this fight? Or have we seen Bud say this fight is behind me, or it's 50-50 or no fight, or 60-40 or no fight?
I seen that thing when he was splashing in the water recently, saying, "Where you at?"
He said Earl, but he already knew that Bud was working on the Ugas fight, because he said his team even said they talked to Floyd Mayweather. They already knew that he was working on the Ugas fight.
Dog, Earl, at this point, Earl got to show his cards. He don't. Let me take it back. No man have to do nothing. They are the masters of their careers. But at this point, the way Tim Smith, he pulled the Band-Aid off that thing. Like, and he made a person like me that like to meet in the middle really, really just take a side. I don't believe it. I don't believe that, Ugas and Earl had an agreed, signed, sealed, delivered contract. I don't. If I was expecting, if Porter was the measuring stick, which it was, because it wasn't that long ago. I remember the talks leading up to that fight, and then see the goalpost move, and then to see that you don't work that hard to get the Bud fight. Nah, it's a duck for me.
I'm gonna put it this way. How come Bud never tried to get none of the championship fights? We see EJ get the championship fight. How come Bud didn't try to get the championship fight?
How we gonna say that when we know that Bob stood in the way?
Oh, so now was Bob. Now was Bob when it comes to
Bud
EJ. When it comes, and that's the point that I made before. That's the point that I made before the Manny Pacquiao fight. He couldn't get the fight with Bud because he was with Bob.
No, I'm going by what EJ was saying at that little meeting in the hall.
And Bob and Bud told y'all Bob wasn't making the fight.
About Pacquiao, he said he called out Sean Porter's name specifically, but when he got the fight with Pacquiao, and he was like, "Don't blame me, blame Bob." Meaning, I know you've been trying to get this fight with Pacquiao for years, but I got it with the greatest of ease. Cool. Who gonna turn down Pacquiao? That's a legacy fight. Who don't want that on their resume? That's why I was never that disturbed about the fact that he did. I said, "Oh, okay. After Pacquiao, then it's Bud." But then it was the Sean Porter thing got thrown in the mix, and I was like, "Oh, look at the sanction about it, interjecting itself again." Okay, Bud, go on and handle that. Now, to me, after Porter and Bud fought, it shouldn't have been no excuses. The direction should have been Earl and Bud. Tom Brown or TGB dude said at that press conference too that we don't have a problem with getting this fight. It's up to the fighters.
So what was the issue when Terrence Crawford when EJ came back from the accident? Why Bud didn't fight him then?
That I don't know, but it seemed like EJ went
because he called out Bud then. He called out Bud then.
Did he?
Yes, he said, "I want Manny Pacquiao because Manny Pacquiao was the WBA super, or I want Bud Crawford. If I can't get neither one of those champions, then I will have to fight my mandatory Danny Garcia." And that's who we end up fighting, was Danny Garcia.
Is he his own boss, or do he have a boss? Because from what TGB said, if they want to fight, because everybody's hopping on this.
Is who his own boss?
EJ. He's his
yes, he is his own boss.
So he called the shots. So you have to ask
him. Yes, he does call the shots.
And if PBC, the people that he worked with, because obviously EJ ain't all the way his own boss. Because if you like when Floyd does the fight, Floyd can pull the money out of his pocket and handle that. Devin too. Devin and them come up with the money when they be wanting to fight too. And either Eddie Hearn match it or add something extra to it. But all these people that said they got their own promotion, I'm not knocking nobody.
EJ got his own promotional company.
Okay, but somebody else is spending the money. So are you the boss? When it's
EJ
somebody
has his own promotional company. He don't use Tom Brown. He has his own promotional company. So Al Heyman is just an advisor.
So my question is, so EJ pays for people purses out his own money?
No, he don't pay out of his own money. Al Heyman, he's on the, you're not listening. He's on the PBC platform. Nobody pays out of their own money except for Devin Haney now.
And people who are their own boss. The true definition
of now.
Your own
but
boss.
Devin Haney been his own boss. Devin Haney came into the game as his own boss. He was a partner with Eddie Hearn. He was his own boss, but he didn't pay out his own pocket.
In the
He
beginning,
get
Eddie did
same
pay.
thing with
That,
same
okay,
thing with
listen,
Deontay Wilder.
listen. If Devin Haney pays out his pocket now and he didn't in the beginning, I understand if he didn't have it in the beginning. Who got that kind of money? But Devin Haney has made moves all along, and he's been boxing that in America. Like, well, from I ain't counting that Mexico shit, but whatever he's been doing in America, being his own boss, Devin Haney and Bill Haney comes up with their own funding. That's a
No, they
boss.
don't. No, they don't. They do now. They do now. Not since they've been in America.
What I just said. I
Not
just
since they've been in America. They do now.
I said I'm not counting what they did in Mexico, and I did
I said
stipulate,
not
and I
since
did
they've been in. I
stipulate,
said not since they. I said not since they've been in America.
but
They
I
do
said that
now.
too. I said that too. I said in the beginning they didn't have the money because who has that kind of money? I said, but now they come up with their own funding. That's the true definition of a boss. You can claim you the boss, but you don't have your own money. Are you really the boss? Other people's
That's the
money.
same. That's the same thing with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder have his own promotional company. He works under the umbrella of PBC, but Deontay Wilder get paid from the PBC money that the PBC guarantees him and the pay-per-views, but he also gets paid from his promotional company. Same thing with Devin Haney. Same thing with EJ. He gets paid from his promotional company.
But Deontay doesn't go around saying I'm my own boss. I'm my
He
own.
does.
He don't. I have never heard him like just stomp around and just say, be
He said it
bragging
to
about that.
he said it to
Hold
AJ.
on, hold
That's
on,
what
Dwayne. Dwayne, can I get in? He don't be braggadocious like that all the time where you can put that jacket on him. If Deontay want to pay for his own fight that he's trying to generate, he could do it. Can Earl do it? If he not doing it or he can't do it, then he not his own boss. I'm not knocking Earl. I'm just saying. I would say that about anybody.
I put it this way. I put it this way. I put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be like what I do right now. I work for. I'm a police officer, but
Mm-hmm.
I am subcontract to work other sites. When I'm subcontract to work other sites, I'm my own boss, but I get paid from somebody else. But I'm still my own boss when I'm subcontract.
Well, for
It's the
me,
same
I
thing.
have an old school definition of what your own boss. Own boss is just like saying I'm grown. Either you grown or you're not. Like my mom used to say when we was kids, well, when you become grown and get your own stuff and pay for your own stuff, then you can make all the big ticket item decisions. Okay, cool. Once I moved out the house and I paid everything from the thumbtack to the rent to the mortgage to the car notes to the insurance to the medical, whatever, I am my own boss. When it comes, I'm grown. I would just say I'm grown. But
Now,
when you talking about being a boss, if you're spending other people's money, and this is not a hit against Earl because I do recognize that he has his own promotional company. That means when he gets paid, he gets several checks, and that's kudos to him. But if you're spending somebody else's money, to me, and I'm old school with it, and this new school way of looking at things, that's cool. I ain't even. That's not even a hill I want to climb and debate. But to me, you can never say you're your own boss and you spending somebody else's money.
yes, it is. Yes, you can. That's just a good business move. You can spend somebody else's money and still be your own boss. That's a good business move. You're not spending your own money. You spending somebody else's money. That's just like you get a loan from somebody. You
Mhm.
get a loan from somebody. That doesn't mean you're not your. You open up your own business and you get a loan from the bank. You still got to pay that bank back, but you your own boss. You
You talking
spending the
about
bank's money to start your business.
you talking investments versus I'm my own boss. And
That's
in the
what
boxing
PBC is.
world,
PBC is an
it,
investment in their fighters.
PBC runs their whole company like a hedge fund. I don't agree with it. And I don't think that's the best business move, but I don't get to say that. And I'm not Al Heyman. I don't have a Harvard degree. But in my opinion, just like people had opinions about how Bob and Crawford had their business move, running a boxing or any kind of sporting thing from a hedge fund um position to me is not the most sound thing because you know who really is the boss? You know who really do count? Them VIPs, i.e., those investors. Fighters don't count. They're not the first priority. It will always be investors. So to me, yeah, I mean, But that's neither here or there. In the end of the day, what's gonna have to happen for me to see it differently? One, I do want to see that with Bud and them sitting around the cipher chopping it up, talking about they'll never work with PBC. Hopefully, it's from November 20th, 2021 to today, and whatever day y'all get it to me. If it's November 19th and back, I don't even want to hear it because he was under Bob, and until he was from under Bob, Bob put him on ice. These promoters, they might don't get along that much with each other, but they're in unison when they want to put the fuck or the squeeze to whoever they want to put. If Bob come out and say Terrence Crawford has no value, Eddie Hearn's going to echo that, and PBC is going to echo that. Now, all I know is that fight is what we all wanted, because when the way I'm looking at it now, when Ugas and Earl is done, somebody gonna have a mandatory, whichever one wins. I got Earl winning, but if Ugas wind up winning, he's gonna have to face mandatory, so he ain't gonna get the Bud right away. If either one of them,
They don't have no mandatory.
they do got people standing on.
No, they don't. I'm gonna tell you why they don't. Listen, I'm gonna tell you why they don't have a mandatory, because Stelios and all those other fighters are in a tournament. Whoever comes out at the end of that tournament will become the mandatory. So they have to fight other fights in order to be called the mandatory. By that time, they can have the Terrence Crawford and EJ fight made. So they don't have any mandatory until after that tournament is over with. So, like I said, by that time they can have that fight made if both parties are willing to sit down at the table and come to a reasonable agreement. Now, if they're not willing to come to a reasonable agreement, then yeah, somebody probably will end up having a mandatory.
Macadocious Mac of the South said Crawford said he wanted to fight Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and Manny Pacquiao. He never mentioned Spence when he first came to 147. I'm gonna show that clip, y'all. I'm gonna show it. I hope you come back tomorrow, Dwayne, but I'm gonna show it.
I already told you what it was. I saw the clip. I already told you what it was.
I'm just telling you in front of you.
But hold on. You said
whether you hear or not.
Before you read the next chat, you said EJ's ducking, right?
I feel like he is.
Okay, so at the same token, just like what Macadocious said, Bud Crawford said he wanted Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia. You had a silver bullet to get Keith Thurman, so you're not ducking from Keith Thurman?
No, he not that. Listen,
he had a silver bullet to get him.
He had
a silver bullet to get him.
Hold on.
He had the silver. No. You got the silver bullet to get any champion, and you called for that champion.
And Keith and Earl did not want it. He could have picked whoever had a belt. Now,
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Let me get in. I'm not saying you guys, Spence fans, were saying, "Oh, why did he pick Jeff Horn? Like that was a bad choice." Y'all criticize everything that man.
I didn't say no. I didn't say that was a bad. I didn't say. I gave you the whole breakdown. I gave you the whole breakdown. I didn't say that was a bad idea. I didn't say that was a bad champion. What I said was when he called for Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and Manny Pacquiao, you had the silver bullet to get any champion. You could have went straight at Keith Thurman, who had two belts. He had two belts.
Who had Keith Thurman did?
Keith Thurman had two belts.
And Keith Thurman.
It doesn't matter what. Listen. But what I told you.
Dwayne.
You gotta listen. You gotta listen, because even though Keith Thurman didn't want it, even though Keith Thurman didn't want it, it would make Keith Thurman the duck when he called for Keith Thurman.
Nah, bruh. Nah.
It would make Keith.
When he left 140, he could have picked he had the pick of a litter. He could pick what he wanted to.
Like I said, y'all see it from one side, but y'all don't want to see it from the other side.
So he picked who did say they
see it from one side, but y'all don't see it from the other side.
The only person,
because if that was EJ, I would call EJ out on it.
That was the only.
If that was EJ, I would call EJ. If you calling for these fighters and one of them got the champion and one of them got he had two championship belts. If he was a champion, you moving up from 140, you said I want that fighter, and that fighter, and one of those three fighters that you called out was the champion. You moving up as an undisputed champion. you should go at that fighter. That's one of the fighters you called out. I would go at EJ for that. And that's
Hey,
the same
listen,
reason why. That's the same
they
reason
didn't
why
want to
BF.
that.
That
They didn't
that's
want
the
to
same.
that Bud play in the reindeer games, but Jeff Horn was man enough to step up and take the fight, and then
It
turn
didn't matter.
back.
It didn't.
And
It
now
didn't
that
matter
I got
if
him belt, what's
Jesse
up?
Vargas had
And
the
then,
championship belt.
and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. Okay, fine. And then it's like, use this person as a measuring stick, this, that, and the other. And look, I'm playing the middle the whole time because I like them both. When I started liking Earl Spence, a little bit after I like Terrence Crawford because I knew about Terrence before Earl. But Earl was new to the division or making noise in the division. Terrence wasn't even in the division. So I liked them both. Kind of like how I like different fighters that are in different divisions now. But this rivalry is crazy as hell. And I was like, you can make a case about either side. But Bud can't even walk 5 feet down the road without somebody being overly critical. He damned if he do, he damned if he don't. I peeped that and I ain't say nothing. But Tim Smith coming out doing what he did and
No,
y'all
just see Bud don't do no wrong.
that
Y'all see
PBC
Bud don't do no wrong.
that fight, Earl Spence, no PBC
That's what I noticed with Bud fans.
Bud
Fans don't see Bud doing any wrong.
no, we
fans
do see he doing
No,
wrong.
y'all don't. No, y'all don't. Y'all never call Bud. Y'all never call Bud out on. I've never seen nobody call Bud out on anything.
Then
I've
you
been
gotta
on
watch
everybody
all of
platform.
my
I've never
videos.
seen nobody call
Then
Bud
you
out on
have to watch
anything.
all of my videos because I will call him. I was never in agreement with him signing with Bob, but I always try to tell myself, don't pocket watch somebody else shit, or don't be trying to tell another man or another woman, for that matter, what they should or could do and all that. This their turn to drive the boat. We had a saying in the Navy: when it's your turn to drive the boat, it's your turn to drive the boat. You drive it how the fuck you want to drive it. If somebody want to come in and say what you should have done, to me that's kind of arrogant to try to tell somebody to move like you want them to move. So I try not to get
We
into
telling him
those.
to move like he said he's gonna move. We telling him to move like he said he's gonna
He
move.
signed with Bob. Y'all all up in arms because
We
of that.
saying why would you sign with Bob?
Fights, this, that, and
We said why would you sign with Bob if all of the 147 fighters are on PBC? Why would you sign with Bob when you know Bob don't do business with PBC?
Why not? You can
He
have.
could have signed with Eddie Hearn.
He could have.
We ain't telling him to sign with PBC.
He
We ain't
could
telling him to sign with PBC.
But it
He
ain't
could have signed with
none of
Eddie
that.
Hearn.
You
He could
don't
have signed with Eddie Hearn, or he could have
flaws in
stayed
that.
independent.
You don't
He
see
could
the
have stayed
flaws.
independent.
You don't see the flaws in that. Telling what
Listen
another
what I'm
man
saying.
what
Listen
he
what I'm
could
saying.
have done.
We said, why sign with Bob Erm when all of the 147 fighters were on PBC when you know Bob Erm doesn't do business with PBC?
Now you know
He
what
could have signed with Eddie Hearn, or he could have stayed independent, is what we said. We always said that.
So at the current state of the PBC right now, especially with their money issues, and we know that they got money issues. So
they don't have money issues.
Yes,
if y'all believe that, y'all crazy.
Yes, they do.
If
yes,
y'all believe that they
yes,
if you
I believe
they just signed three $500 million contracts. You think they got money issues?
PBC got money issues.
Come on, now. Y'all believe that? Y'all crazy. They don't have no money issues.
You don't want to believe it, but I believe they got money issues. And I'm saying, to the end of the day, Terrence Crawford could come up and say this, and I haven't heard him say it. If so, he could come back and, just like everybody was saying that about him with the signing with Bob, he could come back and say, well, why the hell all y'all signed with PBC? Why when the PBC don't give you your full check, and we can go ask AB on that one, why would you do another fight when somebody ain't paid you for the first?
And I asked you last time I was on here, I said, which fighters hasn't got all their checks?
Danny alluded to some. We know that Florida's missing some money, and AB has said it straight out.
Florida ain't missing no money.
Okay.
Joe is a multi-billionaire.
Welcome to
He's a multi-billionaire.
Hold on. Joe Wash, welcome to the building. Was Poppin' King. JoJo Ghost, welcome to the building. Was Poppin' King. Joe, I guess you got something to add to this? What's good? Can you hear me, Joe?
You on mute if you on.
Yeah. I didn't mute you. Hold on, let me.
He might have muted himself.
Yeah, he's muted. Well, I guess we have to wait for him to come up to it. But it's too many moving parts, too many things is going on. And the end of the day, that's just how I feel. He's ducking. Maybe Joe I should come back in.
Yeah.
Let me see. I can put the link in the
No,
chat.
but like I said, I when EJ had his car accident, I went on EJ. When EJ is moving funny, I go on EJ. But like I said, EJ has did every single thing he said he was gonna do. And like I said, if Bud wanted the EJ, if he wanted the big fights or whatever, I didn't hear Bud calling out uh 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 he said he didn't want to fight Sean Porter when EJ and Sean Porter was fighting. They said, do you want to fight Sean Porter if Sean Porter wins this fight? He said, no, I have no interest in fighting Sean Porter. But you want to be undisputed. Sean Porter would have had both of the belts. So how you gonna be undisputed unless you fight Sean Porter?
Didn't EJ say that about Keith Thurman when he had a belt? Or you gonna tell me that didn't happen?
No, he never said he didn't want to fight
He did.
Keith Thurman. No, he
Yes,
didn't. He been going at Keith Thurman. He said Keith Thurman
Oh
won't fight him. He's never said he didn't want to fight Keith Thurman. He
He
never said he
did.
ain't want to. No, he did not. No, he did not. You're lying. He did not say that.
Dwayne.
You're lying. He did not say that. He
I'm not
never said he
lying.
didn't want to.
I'm
He
not.
said he don't want to fight Keith Thurman now. He said Keith
No,
Thurman is
no,
irrelevant.
no.
And
He
that's after
dismissed,
Keith Thurman lost his
he
belts.
dismissed Keith Thurman years ago, calling him
No,
sometime
he didn't.
Thurman. It was before Keith and Pac fought. He was done. He was not interested. So when y'all say,
You getting
all I want
the interviews mixed up
go
like a mug because
undisputed.
it wasn't before the
And
Keith
then
Thurman and
when
Manny Pacquiao.
Keith
It's
had
been
the belt,
after Keith
and
Thurman
you
lost all his
dismissed
belts. It was after
him
after Keith
undisputed.
Thurman lost all his belts.
No, it wasn't. It was
Yes,
before.
it was. I could pull up every video. It
If
was
I'm
after he
wrong,
lost
hey,
his
listen,
belts.
you guys, this is a good debate. But if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. I distinctly remember him saying that about Keith before Keith even fought Pacquiao. He was done with Keith. He was frustrated, and I never said nothing because I don't believe in that. But I never said nothing. He was frustrated. He was frustrated. I get when people frustrated. Joe, what's up? You in the building? We can't hear you.
He in a bad area. That's what it is.
Joe won't in.
He sound like a robot.
Yeah, you do sound like a robot player.
You sound like a robot.
You driving? You got a bad connection. Yeah. But you can sit there, chill, try to get in the area with a good connection. We like to hear, we respect, even though we don't agree with each other, we respect everybody's opinion. But in the end of the day, he did say that. He said sometimes Thurman, he gave him that name, and he was done with Keith. And you know what? You know why I know this? Because I was a big Keith Thurman fan. I was a big Keith Thurman fan. Let me get through some of these chats. Andrew Charles said EJ is not his own boss. That's false. Nothing wrong with it, but that's misinformation. Jojo Go says stop the cap of you don't put the money, you are not the boss. Stop the cap. Andrew said this dude talked about Al for an hour and a half and then wants to say Spence his own boss. And Jogo said, no, you got one of these EJ fanboys. Andrew Charles said, all night this guy been saying Bud won't work with Al. He worded it like that's because he knows who the Spence boss is. Andrew said, you can't reason with these groupies. And Jojo said, that's not how it works. Andrew said, he's about to project his own actions onto other people. And what 3 fighters are getting $500 million? I would like to know. And I'm almost done, Dwayne. Give an example of when you went in on EJ when he was acting funny And then Andrew said, "That's what I'm talking about, Miss T. You can put it right in front of their face, and they will still deny it." So those were the chats.
I didn't say no fighters were getting a $500 million. I said PBC signed three $500 million contracts. I didn't say the fighters. I said PBC signed three $500 million contracts.
You
That's
know
what I
what the
said.
telltale sign is, why they don't have no money? Because everything is pay per view. They don't have no money. Did not Tim Smith just say we don't have the money to be giving him because he ain't worth it? He don't have the money, but you got 40 million to give Canelo. And what's the difference between
No,
Canelo
what I
and
take from
hold
that
on,
is they don't want to lose no money. I
hold
didn't
on,
take it that they
listen,
don't have the money. I take it they don't want to lose no
Dwayne,
money.
listen, Dwayne. I'm telling you what he emphatically said. They don't. It's the economics, and
I know what he said. I'm saying I take it as not that they don't have the money, is that they don't want to lose the money. Not that
they
they
don't
don't
have
have
no.
it.
They don't have no money for Bud. Bud is no value. They don't have no money for nobody else. They gave their money to Canelo. Now, what's the difference between Bud and Canelo? They both have been one or two for the last I don't know how many years on the pound for pound list. Canelo has four division. He's a four division champion. He's undisputed in one weight class, and he just got that in November. Bud has been undisputed at 140. You know that's in the past, but he's a three division champion. And so, what's the daylight? One division, but one is worth 40 million, and one has no value. Somebody got to explain that shit to me.
One has no value because of his old promoter. His old promoter devalued him the whole time he was with him. That's why we said, why would you re-sign him when the guy is not giving you the fights? That was the
Okay,
whole issue that we was having with him.
so in the end of
His
the
old
day,
promoter devalued him, not the fans.
and Bob did. Yeah, y'all Smith fans do, but not maybe not you, but they know who they are. They do always devalue him, and that's okay. That's their opinion, but they do. I don't see a lot of Bud fans devaluing Spence. I see it one sided, going one way. But I will ask you this: in the end of the day, if everybody's payments are deferred, and this is the word on the street with PBC, not that you don't get your guarantee, but maybe that back end or whatever, all of that shit is deferred, meaning you
And I,
getting it later. Hold up, hold up. Bud, on the other hand, got his check when the deed was done. If you count up the fights that Bud has had, where he probably made $4 million, in the end of the day, who made more money? Who got more money? I don't even like to talk about this stuff like that. But in the end of the day, if that's a measuring stick, who got more money? Who made more money? It's turned
we can
out
see, we know who made more money between Earl and Bud.
who? I need to hear
Earl.
you
Earl made more money than Bud. You can look up their net worth.
say it.
Earl is worth more money than Bud.
Okay. Well, if you look it
You
up,
can
it
look
says they the same.
you can look up their net worth. Earl is worth more money than Bud.
What was the number? Because last time I had looked it up, which was a couple of months ago, it said that both of them was worth around about the same 8 million, which I know they worth more than 8 million, but it said that. Now Earl, I believe he should if he got paid. We know Bud got paid though.
We've never heard Earl not getting paid. Earl even came out and said, "I'm n- nobody in PBC gets paid more money than me." Not named Deontay Wilder.
That what he said?
Yeah,
So
he came
his
out and said
payment,
it right after. I think
so we
it was
will
either the
never
Danny
hear
Garcia fight.
we will
I
never
think it was the
hear
Danny
that
Garcia fight.
PBC still owes Earl Spence money. We'll never hear that.
You haven't heard it yet.
Okay, I'll chill on it, but I've heard already that a lot of payments that these fighters at PBC supposed to be getting is deferred, but I'll chill on that. I know the Bud
I'm
got
still
his.
trying to hear what fighters. The only fighter I ever heard anything said about anybody from the PBC was Jake Paul talking about Floyd Mayweather didn't give him all his money, and that's not PBC. That's Floyd Mayweather. That's not PBC because
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather put on that Jake Paul fight, not PBC. That was under Floyd Mayweather Promotions, not
Floyd May,
PBC.
Floyd Mayweather said that Bob Arum still owe him 11 million, and Floyd is invested in PBC, so his money is caught up in the investment. And I told you, if you run your company, whatever company you may have, like a hedge fund, the VIPs are not the fighters. Not no 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 no. The VIPs is going to be the investors. Them the people who are going to get paid first. So sometimes you got to
Well,
wait in line to get your money. I ain't saying they don't owe it to them and they ain't never gonna get it, but sometimes them payments are deferred. McAdoo said,
like,
"Don't
but
that don't
you,
make any sense." He said that don't make any sense. Andrew said, "I'm out, Miss C. Peace to you and the brother on the panel. Peace to you, Andrew."
you said Floyd said Bob owed Floyd $11 million. That don't have
From the
nothing to do
draft
with
to the-
PBC.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that those things can happen. I offered it up as an example of those things can
Oh,
happen. I'm
but
going.
like I said,
I'm gonna do
the
Dwayne.
only fight I ever heard was Jake Paul, and he's not no boxer, but the only fight I ever heard was Jake Paul. He said Floyd didn't pay him the money that he said he was going to give him. But I said that was Floyd Mayweather. That wasn't PBC. That whole fight was put on through Floyd Mayweather promotion, not PBC. PBC didn't have nothing to do with that.
But then Floyd just said, "I'm PBC and PBC is me."
That's when it comes to the boxers, but not with that Jake Paul. Jake Paul had nothing to do with that. I mean,
Yeah.
Jake Paul is not a boxer. PBC has nothing to do with that. Jake Paul is not signed to PBC. He's not
Okay,
signed to PBC.
this what I'm gonna do, Dwayne. I feel you. You make some relevant, some good points, especially when you was talking about Bomac and them sitting in the cipher talking about they'll never do business with what you call it. I gotta do my research. If y'all have the information,
I
link it
told
to
you,
me.
come on, Keon tomorrow. He'll
Yeah,
tell you.
I'll try. I'm always moving around in the afternoon. That's when I do most of my appointments and stuff like that. So if I can, I got his name. You said everything boxing, sports. I think I've seen him on Fred's show before, and I'll ask him or whatever. But I want to see it for myself, you know. And as far as Tim Smith, again, let me be clear. He said what he said. Now, either he's speaking for PBC, and if he's speaking for PBC, my question would be my next question: do Earl know? PBC nor Earl has come out to rebut him. But yet, when ESPN comes out with something that's not exactly factual, and it could be a misstep or misspoke moment, anybody can have a misspeaking moment. Canelo and his team right away rebutted it. No, 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 no. Actually, we're not in negotiations with anybody. We're not, we don't have nothing set for next. We don't know who our next fighter is going to be. So just like Canelo and Team Canelo could do that, Errol and Team Errol can do that. But nobody has. They let this man words stand as it is. And my conclusion is that fight is never going to happen. Never gonna happen. And I'm gonna stop hoping for it. And you had a fan that I bought everybody fights. I supported everybody. I was even buying Jake Paul type shit. I bought everything. I'm not doing it no more. If you Bud Crawford or Deontay Wilder, I'll buy your fights. I'm not buying nobody else fights.
I'll say one thing. If you go back to my live I did today, I
Hmm.
said, I said after Earl gets past this Ugas fight, if PBC is talking about they don't have any money for the Earl Spence and Bud Crawford fight, I said Earl needs to come out in the public, him and Bud Crawford, and let it be known that they're trying to make the fight. So it's not the fighters, it's PBC. I said it on my live.
That's cool, and I believe they need to stop. This public opinion. They didn't do public opinion, the court of public opinion with Mikey, with Porter, or with Danny. So they need to keep that same energy. Putting stuff out and people speaking on it, whether it's Earl or Bud speaking on it, it's a bad taste in the fans' mouth. We don't need to see that because you ain't keeping the same energy. We don't need to see that because all we see is excuses, excuses. Earl Spence fans can look at Bud and say excuses, excuses. Bud fans gonna look at Earl and say excuses, excuses. Boxing fans, period, gonna be able to see whatever it is. I don't consider myself biased. I don't cap for nobody. Bud ain't paying me. I love him as a fighter. I love Deontay as a fighter. They're not paying me. They're not my family member. I love boxing. When I say I love them as a fighter. Period. It don't go past that. You know, I don't have no personal love and feelings for none of them. But as a fighter, but if you're going to be in the business of not doing what fighters do, and I always get an example of football that y'all play, everybody's hot on the football. Don't y'all go for the Super Bowl? Don't y'all go for the NFC champ? Like, I know it's like East West. I call it East West. AFC.
AFC, NFC.
Okay, y'all have that. You go for that first, and then you go for the Super Bowl. Am I correct?
Yeah, you go for the AFC Championship
Mhm.
and the NFC Championship, and then it's the Super Bowl after that.
So in boxing, you got the championship, unification, undisputed. And
Yeah.
if you're not doing that as a boxer, I really can't invest my time and effort into you, you know, unless I catch you on the free or I ain't doing shit that day and I'm just strolling through the channels. I can't get excited about you because you're not
Yeah.
doing what I need you to do. I want my championship fights too. I want my Super Bowls, in other words, my AFC and NFCs. And so that's the problem I'm having. His statement has thoroughly pissed me off. Okay. I do like Earl. I don't dislike Earl, but I think some clarity need to be brought to this situation. And until they fix it, I'm gonna consider him ducking, and I'm not buying no more of his fights.
I told you, you're not going to hear nothing from Earl right now because he's in camp for the Ugas. He's focused on the Ugas fight. You're not going to hear nothing from him.
And
Once the
I
Ugas
got
fight is over with,
him.
once the Ugas fight is over with, then you'll hear something about it because he said it. After I get this third strap, we're going to see who don't want to fight.
And that video that I that I want to reference, I will ask permission. Until I get permission to
Oh
show
shit.
it, I will not show nobody else's video. I guess he lost connection. So I will show y'all that tomorrow, whether Dwayne comes back or not, because I know Dwayne is pretty busy. And I thank you, Dwayne, for gracing my channel with your presence. We have great little debates. I love Dwayne. And it's in the end of the day, I love all of y'all. Thank y'all for coming in and chopping it up with me and all that stuff. It's not the end of the world. See, we can disagree and it don't be the end of the world. You know, thank y'all for listening to us and everything. We'll be back tomorrow, but I'm definitely today going to ask permission to show that clip. And then I'll show it and then we can chop it up tomorrow. But remember, when you know better, you do better. Peace.